Hey everyone, it's Mark, and today officially marks 1 year since I started making these Sovereign Citizen videos. A lot has changed in a year. I've grown as a creator, I was able to get the channel monetized, and the channel has grown in popularity. When I first started making these videos a year ago, I never imagined the channel would grow this big. This channel would be nothing if it wasn't for each and every single one of you who have been supportive by watching my videos, leaving comments, liking the videos, or if you've become a channel member. This channel would be nothing without each and every one of you. There are some shoutouts I'd like to give to those who have supported the channel since the very beginning, and those who have helped the channel grow since then. Thank you to Binary Tools, King Leo 9, Gary UK, Lady Dragon's Blood, Jennifer Kline, Miss Mandy, Vilified Freedom, Tones Overthinks It, Keeping It Criminal, Radical the Unhallowed Knight, Team Skeptic, Van Balian, Artie's Corporate Fiction, Law Talk with Mike, Natalie Lawyer Chick, OPT Lawyer, AMG, and of course, Schrodinger's Cat. I apologize if I missed anyone. Finally, I would like to once again thank each and every one of you, the fans. Without all of you, this channel would be absolutely nothing. You have helped me, whether it's by becoming a channel member, contributing during streams and premieres, or simply by sharing, commenting, and liking the videos. All of you have helped me become a better creator, and you all mean a lot to me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. To celebrate the 1 year anniversary of me making these Sovereign Citizen, Frauditor, and Karen videos, I thought it would be fun to make a compilation of some of my best and favorite videos. To start off, we're going to take a look at my very first Sovereign Citizen video from August 27th, 2021. This woman attempts a Sovereign Citizen script, and of course, she gets arrested and her window gets smashed. Let's roll the video! Hey everyone, it's Mark, and today I'm taking a look at a Sovereign Citizen video. If you don't know what a Sovereign Citizen is, they're a bunch of loonies who think that laws don't apply to them. They are often most seen arguing with cops at traffic stops or arguing with a judge at court about jurisdiction. Let's take a look at today's video.
Can I see your driver's license?
What crime have I been suspected of committing?
What's that?
What crime have I been suspected of committing?
You have no brake lights.
Is that a crime, officer?
It is. Give me your license.
This video is from 2016, but it's one of my favorite Sovereign Citizen videos. This lady got pulled over broken brake lights, which would probably just be a warning or at worst a traffic ticket, but instead this Sovereign Citizen decides to be stupid.
No brake lights.
Is that a crime, officer?
It is. Give me your license.
According to People versus Battle, traffic infractions are not crimes.
Traffic infractions are a type of crime, usually a minor crime, but a crime nonetheless. This Sovereign Citizen doesn't realize that and decides to cause a whole lot more trouble for herself.
Give me your license.
Unless there's been a crime committed, officer, I'm not showing my ID.
Been committed, and I need to see your driver's
Where's
license.
the corpus delicti?
These Sovereign Citizens literally think that corpus delicti means a physical body like a dead corpse. Unfortunately for them, that's not what it means at all, as you can see by the definition.
Where's the corpus delicti?
I need to see your driver's license.
Is there an injured party, sir?
I'm not asking you.
Is there an injured party?
I'm not asking you.
Is there an injured party, officer?
Lady, by no means does a crime require an injured party. But that's what's in your Sovereign Citizen script, so I guess you may as well just go along with it.
Party, officer? According to Black's Law Dictionary, a crime is defined as there being an injured party.
Can't hear you.
According to Black's Law Dictionary, a crime is only defined as there being an injured victim or injured party. Is there an injured party?
Your brake lights don't work.
Okay, according to People versus Battle, traffic infractions are not crimes.
Sovereign Citizens cherry pick Supreme Court cases, and People versus Battle is one of them, which they think means that they don't need a license to drive a car, but they are dead wrong. And I have a feeling in a few minutes she's going to be learning about the case of window versus baton.
Traffic infractions are not crimes.
Okay.
If I've been suspected of a crime, then prove it.
You have committed a crime.
Okay, well, according to People versus Battle Officer, traffic infractions are not crimes. Please show me where the crime is.
Okay, ma'am, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you to give me your license.
According to People versus Battle, there is no crime.
I'm sorry?
Where's the corpus delicti?
Give me your license right now.
Where's the corpus delicti?
These sovereign citizens really enjoy making things difficult for themselves. All she had to do was give her license, insurance, and registration. But instead, she likes to do things the hard way. And like I said before, what would have been probably a warning or a traffic ticket is now going to result in a trip to jail.
Okay, backup has gotten here.
Ma'am.
Okay, I'm surrounded. I'm surrounded with officers.
Ma'am, open the door.
I'm not. What crime have I been suspected of committing?
The first officer already told you, lady. Broken brake lights.
What crime have I been suspected of committing?
No brake lights.
No brake light. We need your license.
According to People versus Battle, traffic infractions are not crimes.
You would please open your door, ma'am.
I'm not opening my door. Please do not attempt to touch me or my property if there's been no crime committed.
What'd you say?
Please do not attempt to touch me or my property unless there's been no crime committed, officer.
All right. What we need to do is we need to find your license. We need your license, ma'am.
I'm not suspected of committing a crime.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
unless there is no crime,
Yes, ma'am.
I do not have to identify myself.
Ma'am, please please roll down your window and let us have your license.
I'm not.
Fine.
What crime am I being suspected of committing?
For a traffic violation of a brake
Traffic
light.
infractions are not crimes according to
No
People
brake lights
versus
at all.
Battle.
Ma'am, please open your window.
What crime am I being suspected of committing?
Ma'am, if you don't open your window, I'm gonna break your window.
What crime am I being suspected of committing? They're attempting to break my windows.
Yes, officer, they are about to break your window, and it's all on you, because all you had to do was give them your license, but you decided to do things the YouTube University way.
They're attempting to break my windows. They're attempting to break my windows, and there is no crime.
Give me your license.
There has
ma'am.
been no crime committed. According to People versus Battle, traffic infractions are not crimes. Please do not attempt to assault me or my property.
Open the door so we don't have to break your
Officer,
window.
please do not touch my property or me if there's been no crime committed. They're about to bust the window. They're about to bust the window. They're about to bust the windows. They're about to bust the windows. There's been no crime committed here. Officer E. Parker, Officer C. Huffman, and Officer T. Webster. There has been no crime committed. There's been no crime committed. Please do not touch my property, ma'am, if there's been no crime committed. Please do not touch my property, ma'am. There's been no crime committed. They're damaging the property, and this isn't even my property.
think she's back home.
Oh my God, I got glass in my eyes!
Cuffs.
Do not take my property.
I got it.
Put his on.
Do not take my property.
I'm good. I'm good.
Do not take my
They're on.
property. Do not take my property.
Hey, go ahead and lock them down.
One thing I noticed as they were busting her window is that she said that this wasn't even her car, yet throughout the video she kept saying that this was her property. Which one is it, sovereign citizen? As for you getting arrested, I have no sympathy for, because you decided to watch a YouTube video and decide that this would actually work. Well, now you learned the hard way, you sovereign citizen wannabe. That was a blast from the past. That was when I was still using my old microphone and I didn't even have an avatar yet. In this next video, we're taking a look at a sovereign citizen woman who demands $300,000 to pull over.
911, where's your emergency?
Hi, this is Jenna. I don't have the emergency, but the car behind me does.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out what that is because I'm driving 45 on, I believe it's Oxton Road.
Okay.
And I have a contract with you guys that if you want to go ahead and declare a false sense of emergency.
The reason for the traffic stop was for suspected DWI. Instead of pulling over, the sovereign citizen has decided to start a whole police pursuit. She's putting everyone's lives at risk because she's a sovereign citizen. She's putting her life at risk, she's putting the police officer's life at risk, and she's potentially putting civilian lives at risk.
It's $300,000 per incident.
Okay, ma'am, what kind
So I need to make sure.
Ma'am.
I need to make sure that you guys are willing to pay the fee that you already owe before I pull over.
I have no idea where she came up with $300,000. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. What can I do for you?
I know you don't, but there is a officer that's apparently affiliated with your agency with his emergency lights on and his siren on right now, which is a false sense of emergency. And if I am not mistaken, there's no sense of emergency. Has there anyone been reported run over?
Okay.
Or is there anyone been reported hurt?
Okay.
Because I don't think that they are.
Okay, ma'am,
And
what
I'm
can
not running for this cop. I'm doing 40 miles an hour with this cop behind me with his freaking siren on, acting like a moron. Can you please let him know to turn it off because I'm not running?
Ma'am, can you pull over?
No, sir.
Ma'am, can you pull over for the
I'm not
officer?
pulling over because that's voluntary. That's voluntary. There's no emergency. You already declared that there's no emergency. If there's not an emergency, then why am I going to pull over? I'm not even speeding.
Ma'am, I'm not the officer. That's all I'm asking you to is just to pull over for the officer.
Oh, here's another officer. Of course. Of course you guys would do this. Of course you guys would do this. This is why are you guys doing this? You're trying to run me off the road. That's
What is your name?
Sir, I'm asking you. My name is Jenna. John Rogers knows all about me. If you guys want to keep contending like this, I'll just go ahead and have John Rogers go ahead and come onto the scene.
Okay, ma'am, but can you just pull over for the officer?
No, I'm not pulling over because pulling over is voluntary. Why am I going to pull over for you? I'm not doing nothing wrong. You told me there's no emergency. If there's not an emergency,
I am not the officer.
Are you ready to pay the $300,000?
The sad part about this is that she believes everything she's saying.
I am not the officer.
Are you ready to pay the $300,000? That's all I want to know. If you guys want to pay the $300,000, then I'll pull over for you. I will pull over for $300,000. That is my offer. I'm asking you to accept it.
Ma'am, this is 911. Ma'am, this is 911. I'm not the officer, okay?
I'm not giving you the opportunity to make warnings. I'm asking you if you want to incur the $300,000 debt. Do you want to incur it or not? Do you want to incur the a $300,000 debt or not?
I cannot answer that question.
Do you want to incur a $300,000 debt or not?
Ma'am, I cannot answer that question. I'm just asking you to pull your car over.
I'm asking you if you want to incur a $300,000 debt or not.
What kind of car are you in?
Are you wanting to... You're not going to incur the $300,000 debt?
Lady, I have some news for you. They are not going to incur a $300,000 debt for stopping you.
Ma'am.
When there's no emergency, this is all a false state of emergency?
All I'm asking you to do is just pull over for the officer.
I'm asking you if you're willing to incur the $300,000 emergency.
Ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about with $300,000. I don't have no idea what you're talking about.
If you're declaring, I'm asking you what the emergency was. You told me there's no emergency.
I don't know what the emergency is. I never said there wasn't an emergency.
I'm asking you what the emergency is. You said there is none.
Well, how about,
if there's no emergency, tell John Rogers Jenna is in the position of traveler vehicles, and that is why she's not pulling over, because you guys have yet to pay your fee that you already owe to me. That's why I'm not going to pull over until I get my money. You guys haven't paid me. Why should I pay you? I'm asking you what the emergency was. You said there's no emergency. If there's no emergency, what is the use of all these public funds going towards chasing me on the road right now like a bunch of idiots when I am not a threat to society in any way, shape, or form? Obviously, I wouldn't be calling you, sir. So I'm asking you, if there's no emergency, then have your dogs called off.
Ma'am,
call off your dogs.
I can't do, ma'am, I cannot do that.
I will call off my bonds and my claims. If you call off your dogs, we can pretend that this never even happened.
Call in the police officer's dogs. She has no respect for authority, and she has a rude awakening coming to her.
But if you want to keep going, if you want to keep playing this route, that's fine. You keep playing this route. But I promise you, it's going to cost you all more in the end.
Like Schrodinger's cat would say, that's a terrible prediction.
And what is your name, sir?
Ma'am, I'm operator number 33.
What is your name?
I'm operator 33. 33.
Okay, 33. Well, I'm operator 29.
Okay.
And operator 29 is telling you to call off your dog because this is a false declaration of emergency. There is no emergency. There is no death. There is no person being harmed. And I have officers risking my life right now on the road.
Well, I advise you to pull over. If they're, ma'am, if they're risking your life, then pull over for the officers.
Are you an attorney? Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
You can't give me legal advice.
No, I can't.
Give me legal advice if you're an attorney.
No, I cannot.
Okay. You're not an attorney. You told me that you can't give me legal advice. Then quit having your legal jump up my toes and to call off the dogs now. Now.
Ma'am.
This is putting people in danger. You guys are putting people's lives in danger, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm going to warn you right now. I've already told you. There's no emergency. This is out of control. This is out of control. I'm having to block them off from stopping me. I'm going to run a stop sign right now. I'm running a stop sign because of them and because of your false emergency. There is no emergency. You already declared that. You already declared there's no emergency, but you're still letting your keep me at 90 miles an hour? Is this crazy? This is ridiculous. You need to stop this right now. I'm telling you.
Ma'am, the only way forward to stop.
Operator 33, I'm going to hold you personally accountable because I told you that there's no emergency.
Ma'am, the only way forward to stop is for you to pull over.
There is no way to pull over because they don't you get that?
Ma'am,
what are they trying to prove? Are you trying to say that there's an emergency around me? Is that what they're trying to say?
If you just stop your car, they will handle it with you.
Why in the world would they need to stop my car when there's no emergency?
I have no idea.
That's like telling me to pull over for an emergency when there's not one. If I see your car, I'm going to pull over. You know why? You know why I'm going to pull over? Because I'm going to pull over because I know that I have to recognize you guys as an authority. I have to recognize there's an emergency. You're telling me there's no emergency, but you're chasing me at 65 miles an hour in a 45 zone, and you're going to try and say I'm speeding.
think you are running from the police. You need to pull over.
I support doing shit because I have no emergency, and neither do they. I am the executrix of my estate, not them, and they are chasing me and acting like a bunch of gated.
Okay,
There's
ma'am.
no emergency. Where is the emergency? You told me already there's no emergency.
I never said that.
I can accept pulling. Well, what is the emergency? Tell me what the emergency is, because I can accept your emergency provided upon there's a claim that I've actually injured somebody or that I've injured you guys. That's it. Period. End of discussion.
Ma'am,
If you guys
why don't you just stop your car?
$300,000
Okay.
for pulling me over without an emergency because
Okay.
that is my fee. You
Okay,
guys
ma'am.
already owe me over $300,000. So now you guys are going to pay
What is
unless
it?
you want to call up your dog. And I mean it. You're going to call up your dog or you're going to pay me $300, and that's the end of it, period.
Okay, and what is your name again, ma'am?
My name is Jenna, and you tell John Rogers I said it.
What's your last name, Jenna?
My mother named me Jenna, and that's the only name I have.
That's the only name you have. Okay.
That is my name. My name is what I say it is, and I approve this message.
Okay. Are you still there with me?
At this point, the police finally got her stopped. Here's some dashcam video from the incident.
Accept all officers unlawfully kidnapping me. What is your name, sir?
Deputy Chairman.
No, you.
That's it.
Is that Mr. Martin?
No, ma'am. That's it.
Is that the county manager?
Nope.
I conditionally accept all of you for unconditionally, unlawfully kidnapping me, provided upon proof of claim that I've actually injured you or someone else. Or $300,000 in United States lawful currency, which I know you don't have.
Why not ask for gold bullion?
Doesn't matter what I ask you for, you're not going to use it.
Please get out of the vehicle.
Is that a request or a demand?
That is a demand. Get out of the vehicle now.
Under color of law, I will conditionally accept, provided upon proof of claim that I've injured you or someone else, or $300,000 in United
Get out of
States
the
lawful
car.
currency.
Shut up.
I love that cop, listening to none of her sovereign citizen nonsense. According to the original video, she was charged with DWI, felony fleeing to elude arrest, driving while having her license revoked, and reckless driving. The delusion was strong with that one. She really thought she was getting $300,000 to pull over, but all she got instead was a free trip to jail. It wouldn't be a Sovereign Citizen Marathon compilation if we didn't have a sovereign citizen in court. And in this next video, we're taking a look at Mark Stevens, the sovereign citizen lawyer, in court trying to represent someone.
Okay, we are back on the record. So I read the hearing notice, the statutory authority. Now I'm going to determine who is present here today. And I'll start with the state, since the state brought this petition.
Thank you. Jean Killam for the People's Department and Assistant County Attorney, Cheshire County.
And spell the last name, please.
Kilha.
I'm sorry. I can't hear her.
I'm not sure what we're going to do about that, sir. I only have so much technical.
Is the microphone on this thing?
Yeah.
Move that a little closer.
Well, it's going to have to be moved every time somebody speaks, and I don't know how we're going to manage that.
Even if we can just move it like maybe here.
Let's see how far it'll go.
You want to turn it toward him now?
I don't care if you can see me. So maybe you could speak up to me.
Okay, why don't we try it again and see if he can hear you this time?
So it's Jean Killam for the state.
Actually, I had an initial objection. I have an objection to Miss Killam appearing today.
Basis of the objection?
Yeah, the objection I have is that I believe she's bringing a complaint knowingly absent evidence of jurisdiction. We've had prior experience with Miss Killam. I've spoken with her on the phone. Mr. Freeman has had a formal disclosure that was sent to Miss Killam. She wound up this was with the criminal charge that was filed previously with the court, and she wound up withdrawing that. I've subsequently followed up with her, not gotten any evidence from her proving that the Constitution laws of the state of New Hampshire actually apply to Mr. Freeman, and so I believe her appearance today is disingenuous at best, that she's knowingly proceeding absent evidence of jurisdiction. I also have an objection as to whether she's appearing on behalf of the state, but I'd like to address the issue that she's proceeding absent evidence of jurisdiction first.
The guy talking is Mark Stevens. He's been known to use the sovereign citizen defense in the past. Right now he's arguing jurisdiction, even though the state of New Hampshire clearly has jurisdiction in this case.
We have her sit maybe one seat closer to
Why don't you move over?
Okay, I thought Sergeant Short would sit here waiting.
Well, why don't you move over until we get
Okay.
through this? I guess I'm going to address you first. This is a duly convened hearing of the Department of Safety based on a complaint brought by the Keene Police Department. And I recognize her as a member of the bar of the state of New Hampshire. I'm not sure what your authority is, sir, but she's a member of the bar of the state of New Hampshire. As far as I'm concerned, she can appear here, and I don't know as though you've said anything that makes me think otherwise.
Well, I believe she's filed a complaint with the DMV knowing that there was no evidence of jurisdiction, that there was no evidence to prove that the Constitution laws of the state of New Hampshire actually apply to Mr. Freeman, and that she has purposely withdrawn her complaint in the court to bring it here to enjoy a lesser standard of proof, which even with the lower standard of proof, because she has no evidence to prove that the Constitution laws apply and can't establish jurisdiction over Mr. Freeman, that we shouldn't be permitted to have a hearing at all.
How do I know that she doesn't have any evidence if I haven't heard anything yet? And also, why do I need a constitutional authority to hold this hearing when this is a statutorily and administrative rule appropriate hearing?
Because it goes to the issue of jurisdiction over Mr. Freeman, that Ms. Killam is under the impression or is arguing that the constitutional laws apply to Mr. Freeman, thereby giving her and the police department jurisdiction and also giving your agency jurisdiction to have a hearing and make a decision affecting Mr. Freeman's life. So it's an issue of fact, not a constitutional issue or an issue of law. If Ms. Killam has evidence to prove the constitutional laws apply to Mr. Freeman, then she needs to present it right now.
I'm going to go
This
right.
is the only way she can establish jurisdiction.
I'm denying your motion, sir, and I'm going to go right to the evidence today.
You'd think that would be the end of the jurisdiction argument, but we're just getting started.
Well, on what grounds? Do you believe that she has evidence to prove the Constitution laws apply to Mr. Freeman and there's jurisdiction?
By statute and rule, this is appropriately convened hearing, and we're going forward.
Well, objection. Are you saying that there is evidence to prove that the Constitution laws apply to Mr. Freeman that you've gotten from Ms. Killam?
I'm not entirely sure what Constitution you're referring to start with, sir.
I believe it's the New Hampshire Constitution that's being applied to Mr. Freeman.
Okay.
So, again, my question is, has Ms. Killam provided you evidence to prove that the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to Mr. Freeman that would then enable you to have jurisdiction over him today?
Well, she hasn't put on her case yet, so, and I'm not even sure that I need proof of constitutional authority. I mean, I believe I have it, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a duly convened hearing of the Department of Safety. I'm the Commissioner's designee. We have statutory and rule authority to go forward here today, and we are going forward.
I think what he's asking.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe just to rephrase my understanding of what he's saying is that, you're saying you have the statutory authority to move forward, but I think the objection is whether or not the statutes actually apply to me.
And how can I do that until I hear evidence?
Well, because Ms. Killam she had filed a complaint. She is required to establish jurisdiction before any hearing is put on. So the question goes, again, what evidence has Ms. Killam provided you so far to prove that the Constitution and laws actually apply to Mr. Freeman and that there's jurisdiction to proceed against him?
I think that will play itself out during the course of the hearing.
Objection. I believe if you believe you have jurisdiction to actually conduct a hearing, I want to know what evidence you're basing that on that you got from Ms. Killam. Do you believe that you have jurisdiction to conduct a hearing?
The hearing official already ruled on your objection, moron.
All right, I guess I should go back to the hearing notice and the statutory authority for the hearing because we did not have you on the record at the time. Mr. Freeman has been ordered to appear and show cause why his driver license or operating privileges should not be revoked or denied. To review receipt of information submitted from Keene Police Department that you could be hazardous to public safety. The person who shall be subject to such an order shall include but not be limited to one whom, and I will narrow it down. Number 2, a law enforcement officer has reported for misconduct. That is appropriate based on RSA 263.56, 263.59, Administrative Rule SAFC 20403, Administrative Rule SAFC 20413. That's my authority.
Okay, now the question is, has Ms. Killam provided you with any evidence to prove that the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire actually apply to Ian to prove that you have jurisdiction or to establish your jurisdiction? No. What has she given you evidence-wise to prove that the codes apply to Ian?
I have statutory and administrative rule authority to conduct this hearing, and as far as I'm concerned, that is all I need. Would you like me to go?
Objection. What evidence? Let me finish. I'm objecting because you're giving me a circular. Let me finish, sir.
Okay. And I also have the authority to disconnect you whenever I want if I think you are being disruptive to getting this hearing done. Do you understand that?
I understand. I'm not being disruptive, though.
Yes, you are being disruptive to the hearing, idiot.
You haven't answered the question. So what evidence has Ms. Killam given you?
You're not allowing me to conduct the hearing that I am, by statute, allowed to conduct by the Commissioner of Safety. That's how you're being disruptive.
I think he's just asking.
No, I'm asking for evidence.
I have statutory and rule authority to conduct this hearing. I am going forward on that basis.
The question, I think, is what is the evidence that those statutes apply to me? I'm not here.
I don't need evidence. I just need statutes.
No, I'm asking for the evidence that the statutes apply. So you're obligated to follow the statutes because you've sworn an oath to do that. But I don't see any evidence that I've done that.
That will be part of the hearing in chief. That I will be making determinations based on New Hampshire constitutional law, statutory law, administrative rules, and I am convening this hearing. We're going forward over your objection, sir. Okay? And over your objection.
I have a point of clarification, sir. Are you acting under the auspice or the opinion that Ms. Killam has presented you evidence proving the Constitution and laws apply to Ian and that you have jurisdiction? I just want to be clear about that.
She has given us a prima facie case that Mr. Freeman has been guilty of misconduct in operating a motor vehicle in the state of New Hampshire. Now it's up to the state to give me sufficient evidence today to support their prima facie allegation that caused this hearing to be scheduled.
Well, I still would like you to be very clear that you're assuming jurisdiction without any evidence so far that you had from Ms. Killam. You're just assuming that the Constitution and laws apply to Ian and that you have jurisdiction. Do I have your position correct?
There is a statute that says that a local police department can report a driver for misconduct. We received that report by statute. We then convene a hearing to determine if there is any evidence to support the report. That's the basis I'm going forward.
Okay, but my objection is to the assertion of jurisdiction, and you keep going back to the statute, and it sounds like you're making a logical fallacy, a circular argument. Basically, it's very similar to what prosecutors and people, like Ms. Killam do. If I'm getting this right, you're saying that when I ask for evidence that the Constitution and laws apply, you keep going back to the statute itself. So are you saying that you have statutory authority to conduct a hearing or statutory jurisdiction over Ian because the statute says so?
Yeah. That's what I've been doing for 15 years, and I'll continue to do it today.
Well, with all due respect, sir, your time on the job is not relevant to whether Ms. Killam has provided you with empirical proof that the Constitution laws apply to Ian and that there's jurisdiction.
As an administrative hearings examiner, it is not my job to make constitutional determinations. It is my job to apply statutes and administrative rules, and that's what I'm going to do today. And we are moving on at this point. Over your objection.
Well, no objection. Well, sir, you're mischaracterizing.
And if you keep disrupting this hearing and preventing me from conducting this hearing, I am going to disconnect you.
Well, you don't have to threaten me, because I just want to point out on the record, since we're going to have a record for appeal, you're mixing an issue.
Sir. You don't have to be repetitive.
But you see. No, I need to point out that you're misconstruing an issue of fact with an issue of law, and you're not making a proper determination. I'm not asking you for a legal issue or a legal determination. I'm asking you for evidence. It's an issue of fact, so please don't confuse the two or conflate the two any longer. I'm asking what evidence you rely on to show that Ms. Killam has given you to prove the Constitution laws that you rely on actually apply to Ian.
We will determine that by evidence today, sir. The hearing is legally convened, and I am to hear evidence. That is my ruling. We are moving on.
Oh, I still have an objection. She's saying she represents the state today?
This is your last warning, sir. You are disrupting this hearing. I am going to disconnect you if you do not allow me to conduct the hearing in the way that I see fit. Do you understand?
I do, but I have a legitimate objection.
I'm going to count to 5, and if you say another word, I'm going to disconnect you. I have that authority under the administrative rules. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Talking to him like a child, the hearing official should have just automatically disconnected him at this point.
The state may present its evidence at this time.
The state has Jason Short.
Will I be able to ask him questions?
You either have a legal representative or you're representing yourself. What's your decision, sir?
At this point, he may be better off representing himself.
Are you going to allow me to speak then? Because you just did a countdown to 5 that I'd be disconnected if I spoke again. Because I do have an objection to the appearance of the police officer. I don't believe that Ms. Killam has any evidence that he has any personal first-hand knowledge that the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to Ian.
He doesn't need that knowledge, sir.
He doesn't need he's allowed to speculate in this hearing?
He is going to testify about his knowledge of facts as they apply to his knowledge of law in the state of New Hampshire.
But one of the issues he has to prove, one of the elements, is that he has to prove that the Constitution laws of the state actually apply to Ian. And if he doesn't have personal first-hand knowledge... Well, let me finish.
That's your opinion, and I have not accepted that opinion at this point. So now the question
what I'm asking is, does Ms. Killam have...
Mr. Freeman, either he is representing you and he will ask the questions, or you are representing yourself. You need to tell me right now.
If Mark would like to continue, I'm happy to have Mark continue at this point.
Okay, and that means that he asks the questions and you do not. He can put you on to testify at some point if that's what you desire. But I am not going to have him ask questions and you ask questions and him ask questions. It's not the way we're conducting this hearing today.
As long as he's allowed to ask questions, I won't ask questions.
He's going to be allowed to ask questions as long as he's not disrupting the flow of the hearing. If I determine he is, he will not be allowed to talk anything. And then you can take over. All right? Okay. Officer, raise your right hand, please.
What objection? My objection has been heard and determined. Does Ms. Killam have any evidence to show that the witness has personal knowledge?
I think I have your objection, sir, and we are going forward with evidence. And if you...
So let me just a point of clarification. You're going to allow the witness to testify.
If you're going to keep beating this dead horse, then you will be disconnected.
I just need to understand your decision. You're allowing the witness to testify without any showing his personal knowledge of the matters.
The officer was there at the traffic stop. He has personal knowledge of what happened, idiot.
Who doesn't have personal knowledge of the matter? The officer, I believe, does, and I don't know that until he testifies, do I?
Not necessarily. We've had enough experience with Miss Killam that she would be able to determine, should be able to determine before she puts a witness on the stand that he does have personal. You need to let me finish.
Do you understand that? I have no experience with
But Miss Killam has. Miss Killam has filed a complaint and is basing everything on this witness's testimony, and she is responsible as the prosecutor to be able to confirm that the witness does have personal first-hand knowledge of the evidence before she puts him on the stand and calls him as a witness.
I need to make that determination, sir. She's prosecuting the case. I need to make the determination whether I think his testimony is reliable, and that's what the rules say. Okay.
No, Rule 602 says that no witness may testify to a matter unless there's evidence showing that they have personal knowledge, and that's all I'm asking is for Miss Killam to be able to confirm that the witness has.
What rule did you just refer to?
Rule 602.
What rule is that? I don't have a Rule 602.
Rule 602 is in the Rules of Evidence that give some of the qualifications for a witness.
Federal Rules of Evidence, sir?
I believe that it's the New Hampshire has the equivalent to the federal rule.
This is an administrative proceeding. We have administrative rules. That's what governs this hearing.
Okay, so let me just understand correctly that a witness may testify without a showing from the prosecutor that they have personal first-hand knowledge.
He is a witness who has information that is relevant to this proceeding. I can accept hearsay. I can accept. He could testify to hearsay, and I can accept that based on our rules. And he is.
So you're gonna, okay.
And he's going to proceed to testify.
I did an administrative. Yeah, okay. I just do a point of clarification because I just did this with the NHES a few days ago. I want a clarification on when you say hearsay. Are you going to accept hearsay from the police officer from an unidentified source?
I can. I don't have to.
You can accept a statement from the police officer that he's giving secondhand from an unidentified source.
Administrative hearings shall not be bound by common law or the rules of evidence. All relevant evidence shall be admissible. The examiner may...
Okay, so...
Examiner may
you would consider it credible,
immaterial, or unduly cumulative or repetitious evidence. That is SAFC 203.19. That applies to this hearing.
Okay, so just to be clear, you would consider credible a statement from the witness secondhand from an unidentified source.
Sir, he can testify to it. Whether I determine it's credible or not is a determination I make in the overall decision on the case.
Okay, so it is something you would possibly accept. I'm just trying to see what kind of standard of proof that you hold, sir.
We have a preponderance of the evidence standard, sir. And hearsay is admissible, but I have to determine its reliability and the weight that I give it in the overall determination. Any further questions?
Well, I still object to the... Yeah, well, I still object to the witness being put on the stand because I don't believe he has any relevant testimony to give.
And I don't know that until
personal knowledge.
Testimony. Objection overruled. Officer, oath. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name and your occupation.
My name is Jason Short. I'm a police sergeant for the city of Keene, New Hampshire.
And you may inquire, Attorney Killam.
Thank you. Are you a certified law enforcement officer in New Hampshire?
I am.
How long have you been in the city of Keene?
14 years.
Drawing your attention to February 7th of 2013 at about 11:40 a.m. Were you on duty for the Keene Police Department?
I was.
And were you in full uniform and operating a patrol cruiser at about that time?
Yes.
And
excuse me, I'm sorry. I can hear the police officer. I can hear the witness fine. She's completely garbled.
Let's see if that will go over under that table.
I don't even know if my camera can hear it.
I can't. I'm having trouble hearing her as well.
That's not my problem. But you want to see if the camera...
Again, the police officer is coming through loud and clear. It's Ms. Killam that is completely garbled.
It doesn't look like it will. Okay. You think so?
Maybe you could just scooch the table over a little.
We don't have much table here. Maybe she could sit in this chair and you could... Oh, your table. Okay. See if it'll go in that corner.
All right, please continue.
Thank you. And about that time, again, February 7th of this year, 2013, at about 11:40 a.m., where were you, and what, if any, vehicle caught your attention?
I was on George Street heading, I guess what would be westbound, coming up to Washington Street, when I observed a car, black and white. I guess the way the sun hit it, I could see fully that it said police on it. Didn't really take my attention too much, other than I didn't recognize it as a local police department's car. I came to the end of the street, I turned right, or I looked right, and I saw that the plate in the back was a bright yellow fluorescent plate. I lived all over the country. The only other plate that I could think of that would be Arizona, which threw me off guard because it said police on the side of it. So I caught up to it. I couldn't read the plate. I was able to pull alongside the vehicle close enough for me to be able to read it, just because of the way the sun was hitting it. And I saw that it said the Shire on it, or something along that line. I didn't recognize the car as belonged to Mr. Freeman here, who I know is Ian Bernard or Ian Freeman. I recognize the car. I know that it has Wisconsin registered plates, but that plate was not on the back. It had this novelty plate, so to speak, as far as I was concerned. So I stopped the vehicle to inquire where the actual registration was.
Okay, and where did you actually conduct it?
I'm going to object to the question. I don't see where any relevance to proving that the Constitution laws of the state of New Hampshire actually apply to Ian.
Overruled. You may continue.
Excuse me, just point of clarification. On what grounds do you see that the question is relevant to proving that the Constitution laws apply to Ian?
Will you stop arguing with the hearing official? If you disagree with his rulings, you can appeal it to a higher authority.
Ian?
That will be developed during the course of the testimony and the any issues of law that you would like to raise. But right now I'm hearing evidence, and I will determine whether it's relevant.
Okay, so just so I understand, you're not seeing any relevance at this point. You think that Ms. Killam will develop that during the course of the direct examination?
The testimony that they present will be weighed against the laws of the state of New Hampshire. You and I may have a disagreement as to whether the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire and the laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to Mr. Bernard, Mr. Freeman, whichever we call him, but that's going to ultimately be up to me.
I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. You also don't believe at this point that there's relevance?
I've made it clear where I'm coming from, sir. We will proceed with the evidence.
So you believe that? I just need to understand, because from what you've said, it's a little confusing. I want to be able to understand you correctly. That you do agree that so far Ms. Killam has not shown relevance to proving the Constitution and Code apply to Ian.
I don't think
she'll develop that later.
I really don't think that's required of her. You will be able to make arguments of law after the evidence is in. Right now, I'm hearing the evidence that they desire to present here today, and then I will hear arguments of law. But at this point,
I'm not arguing law. I'm talking about if the testimony of the officer is relevant to establishing that the Constitution laws actually apply. Now, you've already said that you're going to overrule the objection on the grounds that she'll lay that out later. So I just want to know. So it seems like you're in agreement that at this point she has not laid a proper foundation to show relevance of these questions.
All right. Would you like me to quote the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire to you, sir? I don't know if you've read it in preparation of the hearing today. But Article 5...
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking that at all, sir.
The legislature the power to enact laws. Article 6A is where the Constitution says that the legislature may make laws relating to the use of public highways in the state. That's the Constitution I'm going by here today, sir.
Well, I would object. That's not what I'm asking. And since you're raising that issue, let me ask you, because I didn't get a chance to do this before you threatened me. Are you under the impression or the opinion that the Constitution laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to Ian?
I'm saying that the Constitution applies to the use of highways in the state of New Hampshire, and if Ian is shown here today to have misused or abused that privilege, then the state will have given me relevant evidence.
But the question I'm asking is, at this point in time, do you believe the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to Ian right now?
Well, since I haven't heard all the evidence, I can't give you a final determination on that.
Okay, well, that's what I'm looking for. So just for the record, you are not under the assumption or the perception that the Constitution...
Sir, I'm under the assumption, but I want to hear all the evidence before my assumption is either proved founded or unfounded. Because he is an inhabitant of the state of New Hampshire, I am under the assumption that the laws of the state of New Hampshire apply to him. You can prove to me otherwise, but right now I am going forward on the basis that since he inhabits the state of New Hampshire laws apply to him. And we'll see how...
Well, I would object on that.
Just disconnect him from the hearing already.
I would object on that because that's an element that Ms. Killam is supposed to prove. She's supposed to prove that the Constitution laws apply to Ian to make her case. That's the entire foundation of her case. This is why I was so adamant about that before we started, before you got upset and decided to threaten to cut my transmission. If you are already under the impression or the assumption that the Constitution laws apply to Ian, you've already picked up Ms. Killam's burden of proof. How can Ian get a fair hearing here if you've already determined the foundation of Ms. Killam's case? That's why she sat there stone-faced the entire time I was asking about evidence that the Constitution and laws of the state apply to Ian. She doesn't have anything to offer. You're doing it for her right now. And I would object that we can't get a fair hearing from you, sir, by your own admission, because you've already determined a major element of Ms. Killam's case.
I presume anyone who inhabits the state of New Hampshire is subject to New Hampshire law, and if you can prove to me otherwise, that's where we'll go.
Can you define the state?
What evidence do you rely on? What evidence do you rely on from Ms. Killam to prove that the Constitution laws actually apply to Ian?
I haven't relied on any evidence of hers yet. As an administrative hearings examiner, I am presumed to have specialized knowledge of the area within which I hold hearings. And that knowledge tells me that anyone who drives a motor vehicle in the state of New Hampshire is subject to the motor vehicle laws of the state of New Hampshire.
Well, that's your opinion. Now, what evidence do you base it on that the Constitution laws actually apply to Ian?
It is an opinion that if you have evidence to rebut, I will certainly listen to it today. But I am a hearings examiner who is allowed specialized...
Sir, the one who makes the allegation bears the burden of proof. Okay, if you're going to assert that
he has misused or abused driving privileges in the state of New Hampshire, that's their burden of proof. And it's your
No, the burden of proof is to show that it applies in the first place. The burden of proof is to show that the Constitution laws actually apply to him, unless you want to go on record that it's being applied arbitrarily. If there is not concrete empirical proof that the Constitution laws apply...
From the beginning, sir. Does the U.S. Constitution apply to Ian?
I don't see any evidence to that, sir. And if you believe so, then you better put up the empirical proof. And you better have a witness with personal first-hand knowledge, or you're purely speculating.
Okay.
It's my opinion that Mark Stevens is an idiot.
Not going to tolerate it.
This discussion isn't going to go anywhere, because if you believe that the U.S. Constitution doesn't apply to Ian, then of course you don't believe that the New Hampshire Constitution applies to Ian. But I have an obligation to hold this hearing, hear evidence as to whether he has misused and abused driving privileges in the state of New Hampshire. And that's what the state is attempting
I would
to
object to your characterization.
I'm sorry?
The position we need to make clear is that there's no evidence to prove that the Constitutions apply to Ian. If you believe otherwise, then you need to put up the evidence.
I am here to uphold the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire, sir. So if I assume that it doesn't apply to Ian, or I make every person who comes in here prove that, I'm not upholding my responsibility that I took on when I took this job to uphold the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire. And that...
You didn't take an oath to arbitrarily apply it to Ian Freeman, did you?
Arbitrary?
Did you take an oath to arbitrarily apply the Constitution to Ian Freeman?
I took an oath to apply the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire to everyone who appears in front of me.
I don't believe that that's what the oath you took. If you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, it does not mean that you were to arbitrarily apply it to everybody within your sights. We are here at an administrative hearing where there's a burden of proof, and you and Ms. Killam are making allegations and opinions against Mr. Freeman as if they are true. We're asking for the evidence that that is based on. And prior, you accused me of disrupting the proceedings, and you threatened to cut my transmission only because I was asking for evidence that Ms. Killam is supposed to provide you in the first place. Now, is the opinion that the Constitution and laws apply to Ian arbitrary or not?
No, it's not at all arbitrary. It applies to everyone that appears in front of me.
Then it must be based on witnesses and evidence, and that is Ms. Killam's burden. She believes the Constitution and Code apply to Mr. Freeman. She has the burden of proving with empirical proof
and that is your opinion,
that it does.
And I am overruling
No, it
that
is not.
opinion, and I am going to continue with testimony over your objection.
Well, my objection is that it's not my opinion. You said it wasn't arbitrary. So by your admission, it's based on evidence and witnesses. We want to know what those witnesses are and what the evidence is. Unless you want to change your mind and tell the truth that it is an arbitrary decision that you're making and that Ms. Killam has made that.
A court of constitutional authority, sir. I am only here
I understand that, but
statutes and administrative rules of the state of New Hampshire. I don't have the right to make constitutional determinations. I absolutely don't.
I'm not asking you to.
Judges can do that. That can happen on appeal. I can't do it.
I'm not asking you to. Again, you're mischaracterizing what we have, which is an issue of fact. You keep mischaracterizing it as an issue of law. I'm not asking about the constitutionality of anything. What I'm discussing is what evidence do you have when Ms. Killam have?
Any other way when you ask me if the Constitution applies to him, that you're asking me to make a constitutional determination.
I'm asking for evidence that it applies to Mr. Freeman. It's an issue of fact, not an issue of law. You keep conflating the two.
I'm trying to get facts on the table here so that I can make a determination.
But you've already made the determination. You've already stated on the record you believe the Constitution and laws apply to Ian, and you've heard no testimony, and you've got nothing from Ms. Killam to back that up. You insist it's not arbitrary, but when I ask you for the facts, then you go back and say you're not a constitutional authority. You just don't answer the question. What really needs to happen is you need to back
up. If Ian Freeman has used the roads of the state of New Hampshire, he is within my jurisdiction to hold this hearing. That's my ruling, and that's what I'm going with.
And I object because you've got no evidence to support that. You've got no evidence to prove the Constitution Code apply to Ian just because his physical location may have been in Keene.
And once again, sir, I am going to caution you that if you don't allow me to conduct this hearing and gather evidence, I am going to disconnect you, okay? I have ruled on your objection.
I understand.
I have ruled on your objection. You keep repeating yourself, and I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to go back and forth with you on this. I have told you why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to do it. And if you have an appropriate objection, if you have an appropriate objection to it at some point, then I will listen to it. But I'm not going to listen to you rehash the same thing every time.
Well, if you gave me a straight answer, sir, I wouldn't have to keep asking the question.
I think I have given you a straight answer, and I'm not giving you any further answers. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I have an objection that...
We should have turned this into a drinking game. Take a drink every time he says objection. But then we would all be dead.
And that we would object that you've already demonstrated extreme bias against Mr. Freeman, that a fair hearing with you is not possible because you've already picked up Ms. Killam's burden of proving that the Constitution and laws actually apply to Mr. Freeman.
I'm overruling your objection. I'm going forward with the hearing. I will hear the evidence. I will make a determination.
Do we have a supervisor that you can bring this, we could take a short recess and we can put the motion before a supervisor?
I'm my supervisor, sir. I am the chief hearings examiner.
You're the chief?
Yes.
So a motion to change the hearing officer there's no one above you, there's no other judge or administrative law officer that we can bring this to make a decision? Because I want you to, what I would like to do is I would like you to tell them, I am assuming that the Constitution and laws apply to Ian Freeman on behalf of Ms. Killam, and they're objecting to that. You're taking her burden of proof away from her and making it much easier for her to establish her position. So I don't think it's right that we should have the decision made just by you.
Your request to have me recuse myself is denied, sir.
On what grounds?
I have not made up my mind on the case, but you are focusing on a particular aspect of the case that as I said, I do not have the authority to rule on constitutional issues. I have told you that if he used the roads of the state of New Hampshire, it gives me jurisdiction to hear the case, and I will hear the facts of his operation and why the city of Keene believes that operation is illegal or improper. That's my...
So you say, and I agree with you that you can take the facts. All I'm doing is asking you to provide me those facts. I'm not asking you for a constitutional determination. I'm asking you for the evidence that Ms. Killam is supposed to provide that the Constitution actually applies to Ian. It's an issue of fact.
You're making an assumption that I don't agree with.
What's that?
That she has to make a showing that the Constitution applies to Ian. I've told you the basis I'm conducting this hearing. He has used the roads of the state of New Hampshire. The city of Keene believes he may be doing that in an improper and illegal manner, and I need to hear the evidence to make a determination on that issue. Whether you believe the Constitution of New Hampshire applies to him or not is not anything I'm actually that worried about at this point. You can make legal arguments, and I am going to hear the facts of the case. Because he has used the roads of the state of New Hampshire, that gives me jurisdiction over that operation.
You're not concerned with the entire basis of her jurisdiction and her complaint that the Constitution laws apply. And I've asked you already what evidence you rely on to prove that the Constitution and laws apply to Ian just because he's physically in New Hampshire, and you don't have an answer for that. You just say, I'm not a constitutional scholar or something like that. You don't have any evidence to prove that.
I'm not a constitutional court.
Okay, I apologize. I got that wrong. But you keep doing that instead of just asking what evidence. If you believe the Constitution laws apply to Ian just because he's physically in New Hampshire, I want the evidence you rely on to prove that.
I am going forward, and I'm not going to repeat this anymore. I am going forward on whether the city of Keene meets its burden that he has misused and abused driving privileges in the state of New Hampshire, and that was as a result of operating on roads in the state of New Hampshire. The rest of it, to me, doesn't matter. Okay?
Okay, so as an objection, because I believe due process requires a notice and opportunity to be heard, you're telling me point blank that whether there's evidence that the Constitution laws apply in the first place is not something that you're going to entertain. You're just going to accept that as the gospel truth written in stone, and you're not going to allow us to challenge that.
I didn't say I wasn't going to allow you to challenge that. I simply said that I'm going forward in hearing evidence based on the fact that I need to understand whether he has used roads in the state of New Hampshire and whether that use has risen to the level of a misuse and abuse of his driving privileges. That's what this hearing is convened for. You will have every opportunity you want to make your arguments, but I need to hear this evidence to even get to that. Because it's the state's burden to go forward.
The point of clarification here, sir, with all due respect, if you're saying that the Constitution laws apply because they say so, because that's what I'm hearing from you, that the law says if you use the roads, the law applies. That's circular. That's not evidence.
No.
So are you really having... Let me finish. Are you saying that the foundation of your position...
I have made my point clear. I am going forward on this hearing because there is a statute that they believe has been violated. I have the right to hold the hearing. I don't have to make a determination as to whether the Constitution and laws of the state apply to this gentleman, and you are certainly capable, it sounds like, of making that argument yourself once I have heard the state's case. And I am going to hear the state's case.
You're making an assumption that picks up her burden of proof that he was physically in New Hampshire, the laws apply. So I'm just trying to get...
I'm waiting to hear that
for later,
evidence,
if this has to be appealed.
I'm waiting to hear that evidence, and you're not letting me.
Well, I made an objection that there was no relevance, and this is what got us started on this, because you said, I wrote it down...
10 minutes ago.
But that was on the grounds that she was going to build a foundation later. You said that she was going to build her foundation later, and I wanted a clarification from you that at this point in time, she has not shown any relevance to the question.
And I've overruled that objection, and I'm going to continue to take testimony. Please continue.
Okay, so but you still haven't been clear that you're in agreement that she hasn't laid a foundation of relevance at this point. And I think it's highly disingenuous
I have made my ruling,
to
and if
make
you
a
are going
statement.
to continue to argue it, I am going to disconnect you. Do you understand that?
You don't need to disconnect. Don't do that.
You have created your record 5 times over. Okay. I want to hear evidence. Please.
That's what we want to hear, sir. But you've been disruptive yourself and not giving straight answers and threatening me.
The hearing official has finally had enough of his nonsense.
We were just here from the very beginning. All we've done is ask for evidence. That's all we've done. When she filed this nonsense in court, we just wanted the evidence. And so it's disingenuous for you to say, I just want to get to the evidence, when for the entire time we've been doing this.
Please continue.
The hearing proceeds as normal after Mark Stevens is disconnected. The hearing administrator should have shut that down a long time ago, in my opinion. This next video is probably one of my favorite sovereign citizen videos of all time. During a traffic stop, a sovereign citizen calls his lawyer, who goes by the name of Squeak.
I really can't see him. And I just trying to shine a light in my my phone. Oh, he don't hang good, that's all. You didn't see the phone, nigga. Yeah, true. Yeah, no, yeah, that's all I care about. You gotta stay in line. Oh, yeah. You gonna go charge your phone though, because your shit better die. Let's see where, yeah. What yours on? 67. Sure. Hey, damn, my shit in my pocket. Oh, this is moving. They still just, like, got us out here. Hello, guys. He got that look on his face like, man, I ain't trying to be here right now. Matt Robinson? Excuse me, I'd like to request Mr. Matt Robinson out here. I'd like to request Mr. Matt Robinson. Nat Robinson.
I believe Sergeant Bates already explained that to you, sir.
I'd like to request Nat Robinson out here right now, immediately, ASAP. Because that's your boss, right? If you are who you say you are, I would like to request Nat Robinson out here immediately.
I'm guessing Mr. Robinson must be a supervisor or a sheriff, but unfortunately for the sovereign citizen, the police aren't required to bring anybody else out there.
Yeah, now he's just looking around like he don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Excuse me. I would like to request Nat Robinson out here immediately. Yeah, now he just looking around like he don't know. I want all y'all names and badge numbers down because I plan on suing all of y'all, just so you know. Along with Mr. Nat Robinson. Along with Mr. Nat Robinson. Tonight, yeah, ASAP. This going out tonight. Yeah, I plan on suing y'all tonight.
He's gonna sue them tonight? That's not how lawsuits work. You have to file your lawsuit and get a court date first.
So what's your name again? Sorry. Excuse me. Who are you? Who are you?
I already explained that to you.
No, you are required to tell me who you are. Matter of fact, where's your business card? Where's your business card? I'd like to request Nat Robinson. I'd like to request Nat Robinson out here right now. There's no explaining that, sir. I don't want no explanations. I want Nat Robinson out here immediately.
You can request all you want, but like I said, they aren't required to bring anybody out there.
Yeah, now he's just looking around with this dumb look on his face still. While this other officer still shines his lights in my back seat for no reason. Yeah. Hey, look, buddy. You make it easier on yourself if you just let me go about my travels. All right, like it never happened. But other than that, I'm suing every last one of y'all. And I promise you, I'm coming for the straight pocket. I need a couple checks in my life. In the capacity as a quote-unquote officer and a private commander. And I'm coming for your capacity as a quote-unquote officer and your private commander. I'm coming for it all. Just so you know. And nobody is yet to call this Mr. Nat Robertson. And I'm still being violated of my 4th and 5th Amendment rights of illegal searches by having them shine these lights in my back. I'm still being kidnapped out here for a traffic infraction, which is not a crime.
You're not being kidnapped. At this point, you're not even under arrest. You're just being detained. It's called a traffic stop.
And there's also walking up now, record this dude.
So can you roll down just about that much?
That's as far as it's going down.
Okay, sir, here's the deal. I'm gonna tell you what the deal is, okay?
Listen to this, he's saying here's the deal.
Is that a threat?
Is that a threat? Because you just said you're gonna tell me what the deal is. The deal is, am I free to go?
No, you're not free to go, sir.
I'm not. Why am I being kidnapped?
So you're not being kidnapped.
I'd like to request Mr. Nat Robinson down here immediately.
Mr. Nat Robinson is not gonna come.
I'd like to request Mr. Nat Robinson down here immediately.
Sir, you don't have the right to
who are you to tell me who I don't have a right?
Sir, I'm the person who decides whether or not you go to jail tonight.
Who is that?
I am the person who decides
who
whether
are you?
go to jail tonight.
Who are you?
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you the way the law.
I'd like to know what law do you operate under?
Okay, sir. You are operating a motor vehicle on the streets or highways of North Carolina.
That's the
1886 Farmers Act. That has nothing to do with me.
Sir, if you're gonna talk over to me, this is gonna take all
I'm just letting you know. Yeah, I have all night.
Okay.
I have all night.
First off, Mr. Pratt in the passenger seat is aiding and abetting you at this particular point.
First off, there's no crime for him to aid or abet to. He is just a guest.
Cooperate. We're gonna take out warrants on him.
Now they talking about that's a threat. That's a threat. You cannot take out a warrant on him for nothing. That's a threat, and I'm suing you, Mr. S. Bates.
I've already talked to our attorney. Okay. We have the right to detain.
For order to be a criminal warrant, there has to be a federal indictment. Who's under the indictment?
You're quoting nonsense.
Am I quoting nonsense?
Yes,
The officer is 100% correct. This sovereign citizen is just quoting absolute nonsense.
Okay, well, am I free to go?
No, sir, you're not free to go.
Okay, I would like to request Mr. Nate Robinson down here right now.
You're committing a crime right now.
What crime am I committing?
You have there's the odor of marijuana coming.
There's no odor coming from nowhere.
Yes, sir, there is.
How you just randomly come?
Sir, there's an odor of marijuana coming from your vehicle. You're failing to identify yourself. You're resisting our efforts.
You're what? I'm resisting your what?
You're resisting
your detainment, arresting,
sir,
your kidnappation.
Sir.
What else? Okay,
I'm
gonna sue the hell out of y'all.
I appreciate that, sir.
Okay, and I'm coming for your capacity as your quote unquote public officer, and I'm coming for everything. And just so you know,
cooperate and identify yourself. That's all we're asking for right now.
That's a threat right there.
Sir, are you going to cooperate and identify yourself?
Why do I have to identify myself?
You're operating a motor vehicle on streets or highways in North Carolina. You have to
Coliner versus Lawson.
Sir?
Says I cannot be arrested for failure to identify. So
yes,
why do I have to identify myself?
Whoever that is doesn't have authority tonight.
And now they're trying to say you don't have authority tonight.
Sir,
yeah, what?
I am asking.
What authority are you operating under?
This must be a new sovereign citizen, because all he's doing is just parroting everything Squeak is saying.
Sir, I'm asking you to identify yourself.
He's saying he's asking me to identify myself, and I'm declining. Yeah. Who are you? You're operating on a city charter. Who are you? I'd like to request Mr. Nat Robinson out here.
Mr. Nat Robinson is not coming out, sir.
You're operating over a city charter. Who are you?
Sir, are you going to cooperate?
Now he's asking me if I'm going to cooperate. I've been cooperating the whole time.
No, sir, you're not cooperating. I'm asking you to identify yourself.
I have a right to remain silent.
But, sir, you have the right to remain silent only in the event that you've been charged with the crime.
You just said.
But you have to identify yourself while operating a motor
vehicle. If I haven't been charged for the crime, why am I still here? Am I free to go?
No, sir, you're not free to go.
Now you say I'm still not free to go.
Mr. Pratt, do you want your car destroyed tonight?
Now he's just made another threat. Now he just made another threat to destroy my brother's car.
What I'm saying is that
now he just made that's a threat.
No, sir,
that's another threat. That's a threat.
What I'm saying
that's definitely a threat.
Is that we're going to break the window of this car.
And he's saying he's going to break the window.
What are you breaking?
We're authorized to do that.
Why you gonna break? How are you authorized to break my window?
You're resisting, sir.
I'm not resisting.
Sir, I'm asking you politely to identify
in order for me to resist, there has to be a crime.
Sir, the crime is you're refusing to identify yourself during a traffic stop while operating a motor vehicle on the streets or highways of North Carolina.
A traffic stop is not a crime.
Sir, I'm asking you to cooperate.
I've been cooperating.
No, sir, you're not cooperating.
You're respectfully declining, and you're exercising your constitutional right not to be detained by a public employee.
Exactly. I'm respectfully declining, and I'm exercising my constitutional rights to not be detained by a public employee.
Sir, you don't have that constitutional right.
Why don't I have that constitutional right?
Sir, your right is to cooperate.
You're acting under the color of law, and that doesn't apply to me. And you can be sued under Title 1841, and he's about to try to break my window.
I'm asking you to open the vehicle.
He's about to break my window.
Sir, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Squeak, he about to break my window.
Do you have gloves?
Yeah. You got to record it.
I'm recording it.
Okay, record me, sir. I'm asking you to step out of the vehicle and identify yourself.
Yes, I'm very fearful for my life now.
I'm asking you to identify yourself, sir. That's all it takes. You identify yourself as a licensed driver in the state of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right.
Sir, I am asking you again to
and he's still about to try to break the window. What crime have I committed is what I want to know.
Sir, you're failing to identify yourself while operating
that's not a crime.
motor vehicle on streets or highways of North Carolina. You're required to do that.
Under what law is failure to identify a crime?
The Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court.
Sir, they're not dealing with Supreme Court. You're dealing with me right now.
Excuse me.
I'm asking you to cooperate. Are you going to
I'm trying to cooperate right now. The Supreme Court under...
We're not talking about the Supreme Court.
What law are you operating under then?
Are you going to identify yourself?
They're about to try to break my window, Squeak.
I'm getting ready to break your window, sir.
He's about to break my window. That's another
threat. I'm going to break your window. I'm getting ready to break your window, sir, if you don't cooperate.
He's about to break my window.
I'm going to break the window.
That's a threat. That's definitely a threat.
No, that's not a threat, sir. It's conditional.
That's definitely a threat.
It's not a threat.
I haven't committed a crime, and I've been
because I'm going to.
I haven't committed, and if you get glass in my eyes, I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely suing. He's about to break my back window, Squeak. Squeak, you broke the back window. Broke the back window. Now he's busting in. I'm being kidnapped.
Sir, I'm getting ready to break the front window.
And now he's about to break the other window.
Yeah, use your long one.
Can I take my seatbelt off?
Yeah, go ahead and take your seatbelt off.
Squeak, they're forcing me out the vehicle right now.
Sir, you're now getting ready to cross the line.
Squeak.
Put the phone down.
Can I hold my Do I gotta get out?
Yes, sir.
Can I hold my dog? Step out, please.
Sir, you need
Squeak,
to step
I'm getting out of the car right now. Because if not, I already know how it's gonna go down. Yeah, under threat, the rest of the choice for real, because if not, they're definitely gonna do some crazy shit.
Turn around for him. Okay, bring back.
I'm being arrested at the time to get my own wheel. I'm being kidnapped.
Yeah, I'll get it for sure.
Another sovereign citizen gets arrested. I like how the police didn't put up with the nonsense for too long, and I wouldn't recommend taking legal advice from Squeak. I guess Squeak wasn't much help to this sovereign citizen. I wonder what Squeak is up to nowadays. Our next video is a sovereign citizen who argues with a police officer during a traffic stop and refuses to provide his license.
Hey. What am I getting pulled over for, sir? I have a headlight out?
Yes, sir, you.
Is that a crime?
It's a defective equipment. It's a violation.
Oh, it's just... Okay. Am I being detained or am I being pulled over?
You're being pulled over, sir.
Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're not free to go until we complete the stop. License, registration.
At this time, I want to exercise my rights. I don't want to answer no questions until I have an attorney present.
This isn't crime.
If I'm being detained, I'm in custodial arrest. I have...
You're not in custodial arrest. You're being detained for the purpose of a violation of a moving traffic violation. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Is the vehicle registered to you?
I don't answer questions, sir.
60. That's fine. Why?
I wish not to answer any questions till I have an attorney present, please. I have not committed a crime.
You're correct. You have not committed a crime. You committed a moving violation.
Again, am I being detained or am I free to go? Am I being...
You are being detained.
I'd like to see your supervisor then, please. I wish to answer no questions, exercise my rights.
I can't hear you, sir. You're not talking loud enough.
I wish to exercise my rights and remain silent until I have an attorney present.
All of this over a broken headlight. Sovereign citizens really have nothing better to do with themselves.
You're trying to cite me for a uniform commercial code and extort me for revenue.
Uniform commercial code, that's not correct, sir.
Okay. I'm exercising a constitutional guaranteed activity. I am traveling on a public highway, and the United States Supreme Court has ruled that. I've already called the governor's office yesterday about you guys' harassment. What you're doing is an unlawful stop.
He's refusing to...
I'm not refusing.
...himself and other stuff. Yes, you are refusing.
No, I'm not. I'm exercising my rights. There's a difference.
No, there isn't.
Oh, well, that's your opinion.
No, that's
but the Supreme Court ruling says different, sir.
You have a mail RO to the vehicle?
You're being recorded and live streamed, too.
So are you, sir.
That's fine. Please don't delete that because I'll be asking for a public request on it. If I haven't committed a crime, I'd like to be free to go.
You're not free to go.
So I'm being detained.
That is correct, sir.
Can you tell me what crime I am being detained for?
You're being detained for a...
The only way I can be detained is if I'm committing a crime. Can you articulate a crime, please? I'm asking you to articulate a crime if I have committed a crime, about to commit a crime, or if I did commit a crime. Though that's the law that you have to lawfully detain me, sir.
You prefer to cut me off every time I'm talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
You're the one that wants to give all the information. You have all the information.
Well, I just want to make sure you're deliberately indifferent of my rights. And that you don't violate and trespass.
No one's violating your rights.
Well, right now you are. You're pulling me over for unlawful stop.
It's not unlawful stop because you have a defective equipment. It's a violation of Title 23.
This is private property, sir.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. Your private property is on a public roadway, so you and your vehicle must comply with the rules of the road.
You decided to pull into private property. It's irrelevant.
No. This is private property.
6-3.
I've had an incident with that vehicle. The last operator was a Carl DeVoid.
Are you Mr. DeVoid?
I don't answer questions unless I have an attorney present.
I'm gonna guess that's him.
He's a white male, hazel eyes, 5'8", 180.
Seems about right. Is he valid?
Yeah, actually I am. I got a letter saying they took it out of my taxes. $178.
He is going to be civilly suspended.
Huh. Interesting. Interesting.
I have the registered owner's name. I'll just give them a 21. Make sure that you have the right to have this vehicle. Is your name Carl?
I don't answer questions unless I got an attorney present, sir. You're violating my civil rights right now.
I can have it in the case.
I talked to the governor's office yesterday.
Maybe give me a 21 number for that person.
What's your name and badge number, please?
I don't have a badge number. My call sign is I'm Corporal Stephen Gutierrez from Colchester Police Department.
Can I see 3 forms of ID? Under the Uniform Commercial Code, you're required.
163.
I'm from Maryland, so I'm headed up there right now.
10-4. Thank you. I'm in the parking lot of Spank Puppy.
And I pulled into a private driveway because I figured it was safer to travel.
You should have pulled over to the right.
6-3. I'm right here. Do you want me to
Okay. Well, that would be your opinion, but
74.
the law says I should pull over to the nearest safest place.
The law says you should pull to the right.
Apparently, you're not too educated on the law then.
The only person who isn't educated about the law is you.
You keep cutting me off, and that's fine.
So I got pulled over for an alleged defective light that was working on my private automobile. You know you're violating my civil rights right now, right?
I'm not.
Well, you may think you're not, but the United States Supreme Court has ruled that what you're doing is unlawful.
163. I'm talking on the radio, excuse me.
You're the one who pulled me over, made contact with me, sir. I didn't make contact with you.
I'll take it just to make sure this person has permission to have the vehicle.
Oh, I do have permission.
I'll verify that in a minute.
You believe that I don't?
Her number is
I don't know.
598.
Are you saying that I stole this or something? Are you making an accusation?
I'm not making anything.
So then, what's going on?
I'm speaking on my radio.
You're the one that approached me, sir, and violating my rights.
81.
You know, the United States Supreme Court has ruled, and I must advise you of Title 18, 241, 242. Anyone who conspires to deprive one of one's constitutional rights or deprive one of constitutional rights can be held accountable in a tort claim, sir. And what you're doing right now is civilly violating my rights.
Do you have your name, registration?
I don't answer questions.
Proof of insurance for the vehicle.
I don't answer questions, and I want to exercise my Fourth Amendment.
I'm asking you for the proper.
And I'm telling you right now, are you asking?
I'm telling you.
Can you tell me the statute and the law that requires me to do that? Because I would like to exercise my Fourth Amendment. Unless you got a search warrant, I care not to get off any any documentations that may be used against me in the court of law.
We're going to receive a written warning.
You do whatever you think you got to do, sir, but what you're doing right now is violating my civil right in the United States. Well, you may not think so, but Shapiro versus Thompson and Reno versus Cadon says you are, among about 15 other cases. And I already talked to the governor's office about you guys harassing me. Now you're unlawfully holding me in a detention with an armed gun, acting outside your professional capacity. I fear for my life right now, sir. Because you're not acting in a lawful capacity and you're armed.
If you would have just handed over your license from the start of this traffic stop, the officer would have written you a warning and this traffic stop would have already been over.
And I wish not to get off anything or say anything more until I have an attorney present. Thank you. And you are being live streamed. And I got a lot of viewers. I do know the law, sir, and I do know my rights. I'm very educated on that, at least. And I refuse to let you violate those civil rights. And if you so chose, just so you know, I have no ill intent and I'm a non-violent person.
Okay. I don't even know your first name. You won't even tell me that, so.
Well, because you haven't told me I committed a crime. The only way I'm obligated under the law to tell you my name and identify myself if I have committed a crime, about ready to commit a crime, or committed a crime. You can't tell me I've committed a crime yet. And all I'm doing is exercising my constitutional guaranteed rights to be a traveler on a public highway.
You're driving a vehicle that has...
No, I'm not driving, sir. Driving's defined as commerce.
You're operating a vehicle...
I'm not operating. Operating is defined as commerce.
Stop cutting me off when I'm talking to you. I haven't been rude to you once.
I'm not trying to be rude, sir. I'm
rude.
okay. You know what? You're right. You've been pretty professional. I'm sorry.
When I speak with someone, common courtesy would be for them to finish what they're saying and then the other person to speak.
And I do apologize. I'm just kind of frustrated to be harassed constantly for exercising a constitution. Yes, I am.
It's my first time meeting you, sir.
Well, you know what? You're part of the corporation. Maybe not you personally, but now that you've been deliberately indifferent personally, I charge $50,000 an hour, minimum of 10 hours. Anything after that is $15,000 an hour until the case is done.
$50,000 an hour for what?
For my time for violating my civil rights.
He activated his fee schedule, but I guarantee you he didn't see a single cent of that money.
Just so you know, you've been deliberately indifference because you can be held accountable on a tort claim under 18, 241, 242 for violating my civil rights. You guys are going to get educated today. Okay? what you guys are doing to violate my civil rights, and the Supreme Court has spoken on it. So you do what you guys got to do.
Carl, just relax.
But, you know, anything that you do against me is violation of my civil rights right now. Just so you know. And you only can hold me for so long. Supreme Court says that.
Well, you keep talking. You can't have any other conversation.
No, I don't.
I was going to identify you or who you are. And we'll go from there.
Just advise my motorist about possible traffic hazards by the VFW.
Damn, I was only 2 feet to get some papers to have a cigarette.
Yeah, that's what I want.
No.
Hey, what's your name?
Carl, how you doing?
What's your name, sir?
Carl the Boyd.
What's your name, sir? Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, it's Michael Fish, Carl. You know who I am.
Do you have a
we don't have a badge number. We don't have badge
do you have
numbers,
3 forms of ID per the law? I need to identify you too.
This officer seems to know who this sovereign citizen is, and he's not going to tolerate his nonsense.
3 forms of ID per Uniform Commercial Code.
No, not in Vermont.
Oh, sorry, that is the law.
But in some states, but not
that is the law.
Not in Vermont.
Okay, you may think so, but I'm asking you by law to identify yourself by 3 forms of ID.
We don't have to do that, Carl.
Oh, you may not think so, but I have every right and legal right to be here.
Go fill out some paperwork. Just stay right here, okay?
I ain't going anywhere. Am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're not free to go.
Okay. You know, you're violating my civil rights, and the Supreme Court has spoken of this. And I did call the governor's office yesterday and sent them the big old thing that I sent you, Fisher.
No, I'm Fish, not Fisher.
No, Fisher, whoever. Sorry. Under Uniform Commercial Code, you are required to show 3 forms of ID. But I understand you guys don't, you're going to dictate what constitutional right applies to me and which one doesn't right now.
You should read the whole Constitution.
Oh, I do. You know what? The United States Constitution overrules the Vermont Constitution.
It really does.
And the United States Supreme Court rule is the supreme ruling of the land.
The Supreme Court is ruling.
You're right.
If people are pulled over by law enforcement, that they do
For
identify themselves as they've been pulled over for just cause.
If I'm acting in interstate commerce.
Bits and pieces.
If I'm acting in interstate commerce.
So
I'm not acting in interstate commerce. I'm not for hire.
I know that.
Okay, so then apparently you don't know the law, Fish.
He's going to write you a ticket or whatever he's going to do. You can't drive the vehicle.
I'm not driving.
Okay, so do you have somebody who can come get the vehicle?
I'm a traveling.
Well, I know you're a traveling.
And I have every constitution. Listen, go ahead and violate that civil rights.
Okay.
I will be traveling out of here.
What's that?
I will be traveling out of here.
Well,
and then you guys...
Here, we'll stop you again, and we'll tow the car.
Well, then you'll be stealing my property and unlawfully towing it.
If you want to play this game...
It's not playing. It's the law, sir.
If you'd like to
it's the law.
play it with you, that's fine.
It's the law.
So, but do you want to see if you can have somebody come get the car, or do you want to have it towed, or whatever you want to do?
You ain't towing. It's on private property, and somebody...
Well, that's what I mean. If you want to have somebody come pick it up, but if
listen, you're not dictating here. The law is on my side.
We're gonna have it removed by Racker, so.
No, you're not.
I think the officer should just tow this guy's car based on his attitude. He's been rude and non-cooperative throughout the entire traffic stop.
So
no, you're not. You can threaten me all you want, but you're not towing it, and I'm not getting out of the vehicle. Excuse me, out of my automobile. Sorry. Let me correct myself. And if you plan on getting in here, you need a search warrant.
I'm not going in the
well, then you ain't towing it. Because I ain't getting out of it. It's my private property. And the Constitution and the Supreme Court says I have the right to do what I'm doing. Listen, I've already called the governor's office and reported you guys.
That's okay.
You guys think you're above the law, and you're not. Federal law and everything gives me the right.
For some reason, his camera stops recording here, but he starts recording again a few moments later.
Go on over there and park it. Do that right now, and I'll let
I don't need to right now. I will when I'm done with you guys.
Okay.
I'm being detained right now unlawfully.
You are.
Oh, I know I am. You're going to learn the law that you swore to uphold. Am I free to go, or am I still being detained? I don't want to accept it. It's unlawful.
It's not unlawful?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, just fill in your lap there, sir.
Hey, believe me, it's unlawful.
It's not unlawful.
You're gonna learn.
Listen.
You better check out. Hey,
So
listen, it's a little education for you. Sereno versus Thompson.
The white copy of that is for, you need to mail that back in that white envelope in 20 days to avoid any type of suspension to your license. Okay?
A license is interstate commerce.
Okay, your license is currently suspended. That's what the ticket is for. I'm going to give you a verbal warning.
I don't need a license to travel. Supreme Court ruled.
Okay, I'm going to give you a verbal warning for the headlight. The headlight is not working on this vehicle, okay? I just spoke with Carrie. She said she was aware of the headlight, and she was aware that you were driving the vehicle, so that's good.
I don't drive. I travel, sir. You keep on trying to say drive. You keep on trying to say commerce.
Okay, so you're traveling with the vehicle. How's that?
So you do recognize I travel?
Sure.
Okay.
So go ahead and travel this vehicle right over by that white vehicle right over there, because you cannot travel any further on these roads according to the Vermont DMV.
Okay, so what about the United States Supreme Court rule, though?
So Vermont DMV says...
I understand that. I understand that. You're going by... So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're saying DMV says I can't do that, right?
That is correct.
Okay. So, but would you agree that United States Supreme Court overrules that?
DMV says that you cannot drive your vehicle, this vehicle, on a public highway, and you're not going to be driving it from this turn forward.
But I don't drive.
Right over there.
I travel.
Okay, so you're not going to be traveling it down the road.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, well.
Well, then it's gonna end up getting towed.
Well, if you decide to steal my property and break in my car without a search warrant, you're gonna have some issues.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Have a great
I know the law, bud. You're gonna get educated. Both you're gonna get educated on the law today. Carl. No, there ain't no Carl. You're violating my civil rights. No. See ya.
When you drive it back onto the road, we will tow it.
Well, you'd have to break in to get me out of it to do that. And that means you have to get a search warrant. And who's going to give you a search warrant to get into my private property for exercising a constitutional right? It's already been stated.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he traveled down the road after this and ended up getting arrested and having his vehicle towed. Unfortunately, though, I couldn't find any video of that. I wonder if he ever did try to travel down the road after this traffic stop. That probably ended badly for him if he did. In this next video, a sovereign citizen doesn't consent to having a warrant.
Alright everybody, so the cops have now pulled us over. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see what's going on today, guys.
I did, I can hear you. Okay.
Hey Tyler. I don't consent. I don't consent.
I'm going to show you, we have a warrant for your arrest.
I don't consent.
Okay, so we're going to open the door and I'm going to arrest you for that on the street.
I don't consent.
Okay?
I don't consent.
Okay.
What you're doing is illegal. Okay. I am not that corporation you have in your hand, sir. I do not consent to what you're saying. Okay. That's a corporation. Okay. My name is not spelt like that. Okay. It's a capital T, yeah. Small y, small l, small e, and r. Okay. That's all capitals. That's not me. If everyone can come down right now to George Street or Water and George, the cops are trying to arrest me for absolutely nothing. Don't open the door, no.
Tyler, can you unlock the door, please?
I don't consent.
Okay. Tyler, you need to open the door because you're going to be placed under arrest on the strength of the warrant, okay?
I don't consent. What's your name and badge number?
My last name is Schubert and my badge number is 280.
What about you? Well, all of you? I don't consent. I don't consent to anything you're doing. Okay. I don't wish to cooperate with that corporation because People Police is a corporation to make money. Okay. I do not wish to cooperate with your corporation. Okay. Do you understand that?
Well, I don't agree with it, but...
Your People Police is a corporation. Okay. I do not wish to do anything with your corporation. Okay. I do not consent to anything you're doing at all. Okay. I do not understand. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't consent.
Something tells me he doesn't consent. But seriously, is that the only thing he remembers from the Sovereign Citizen script?
I don't consent. Well, it does actually. I don't consent. You do what you gotta do. I don't consent. Looking real tough there with your mask on. Everyone's watching your criminal activity.
The only criminal activity we're watching is you refusing to get out of the car.
I will not open that door. That gives me consent to you. I do not consent. I am a man of flesh and blood under God's law. Yeah, is it worth it? You just said, is it worth it? You just said, is it worth it? You are a criminal. You're a criminal. You're a criminal.
We all heard
We heard that. You're live streamed to hundreds of people. You're a criminal. You're a criminal. You're a criminal.
Why couldn't you have done this at the rally if everyone
Why couldn't you do it at the rally when people are watching? You're a criminal.
over by ourselves?
I don't consent to anything you're doing. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's consensual stuff. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You don't know what you're talking about. Learn your law, lady. I'm a man of flesh and blood under God's law. Not your corporation law you call the Peterborough Police. You are a corporation. Do you understand that? Oh, you keep putting that mask up. It's doing great for you, buddy. Yeah, it's cold. Wear this outside for...
Keep you warm.
Oh my God, dude.
Little mask.
Share this everywhere. Peterborough Police are corrupt. He just said, should we do this right now?
Is it worth
Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Dude, is the paycheck worth it? Is it that good for you guys right now? I will hold all of you accountable for crimes against humanity.
You serious?
You understand that? I'll get all your names and badge numbers eventually, and I'll hold you all accountable for crimes against humanity. You're criminals. Criminal.
How many officers
You're a criminal. Yeah, you're criminal. You're
wanted.
I don't consent.
You saw him when he got to the rally this morning.
I was at the rally all day today. Why don't you come get me then?
Sorry?
At the rally down there. Why don't you come get me then?
Why do you wait till we
Why do you wait till I leave and harass me and stalk me like weird people? I thought you were supposed to uphold the Canadian Constitution, the Canadian Bill of Rights, the human rights, right? Nothing. You guys are absolute criminals. You guys are nuts, man. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't work with corporations. I'm a man of flesh and blood under God's law.
How many cops are behind this, Tyler?
I am a man of flesh and blood under God's law. Not your corporation bullshit. Take a hike, buddy. You already said, is it worth it? You guys are ridiculous, man. Is there enough of you? Look at the tax dollars, everybody. Holy fuck, look at them all. They're everywhere. Look at them all. You guys are a fucking disgrace to the badge, the Canadian. Oh my God, you guys are gross. Gross. Look at them all, guys. Look at them all. Holy moly. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 cruisers.
Well, yeah, that's what typically happens when you have a warrant and refuse to comply with the officers. They end up calling for backup.
You guys are nuts, man.
Look, we got all our support.
Yeah, here comes a convoy, buddy. You guys are looking so dumb. So dumb. I don't consent to your corporation that's trying to make people a part of your illegal fiction. Do you understand? I don't consent. 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 I don't care if you have to talk. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't consent. Then break the window if you have to. I don't consent to anything. Whatever you do, you're being held accountable. Do you understand that? Name and badge number, please. Oh, wall work. Name and badge number. Badge. 189. Thank you. Okay, there you have it.
This is your choice.
Yeah, smash. If you want to smash the window, go right ahead. I'm going to hold you guys accountable. You will be personally held accountable. I'm going to take your job.
I'm going to say that's a terrible prediction. You're not taking nobody's job.
Yep, I'm telling you.
So this is your opportunity.
You have an opportunity to walk away. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't think you understand. He understands. He already said we shouldn't be doing this. You guys are absolute criminals. Criminals! Go away.
You're harassing us.
Harassment at its finest.
You forgetting and trap us at our own home? You're harassing us.
You come to my house, you stalk my house, you fucking won't leave me alone? What is this? Look, there's little kids watching.
Justice coming up.
You guys are absolute criminals, man. Absolute criminals. Please share this far and wide, everyone.
Don't worry, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna see this.
This is absolutely and they can block traffic. They can, you guys can hold up traffic. It's okay, right? Yep. Whatever. I don't consent. I don't consent. I don't consent. Babe, you follow me as close as possible.
Smash your window if you don't open the door.
I don't consent. Yeah, good one, guys. Smart, smart. You guys are very smart, eh? Absolute criminals. Criminals. Absolute fucking criminals, guys. Yep, good job, guys. You'll all be held accountable. Come on out. Come on out. Stop it. Nope. I don't consent. 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 I don't consent.
I don't need that in my car.
Do not consent.
Man, you can't come over here.
I'm videotaping this.
No, you can tape. You can tape, but you can't interfere. He's under
right
arrest.
there.
He's under arrest, so you don't want to get arrested too, right? I'm guessing you don't want to, and I don't want to arrest you. So you can tape all you want.
This is your Peterborough Police, everybody. This is it right here. This is what you guys want? This is what you want, guys.
Freedom, right? Right. He's such a criminal, isn't he? All of this has to be here for him?
Why are you surrounding my girlfriend for?
They don't want me to get arrested too, Tyler.
Oh, you guys are a bunch of dummies, aren't you?
You didn't get arrested for protesting. You got arrested because you have a warrant. It's really not that complicated to understand.
Dummies, man. I don't consent.
Block the street off down there.
I don't consent. I don't understand. I don't consent. I don't understand.
Okay.
I don't consent. I don't understand. I don't consent. I don't understand. I don't consent. I don't understand.
He's a dedicated sovereign citizen. Even in handcuffs, he keeps saying, "I do not consent."
Andy, you ride with Shuby?
Right, over 600 people watching this. Good job, Peterborough Police.
There was a warrant for his arrest, correct? You understand that?
Bullshit! Bullshit, boys! I hope you all go to prison for the Nuremberg Code. You're all part of justice bullshit. Fucking assholes.
And just copy damage.
What's the matter? We're not allowed to protest? Freedom of speech? Gonna start arresting everybody for freedom of speech? Is that the game you all want to play? Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Ashamed of yourselves for working for Trudeau. You're disgusting.
That YouTube law degree certainly didn't work out for him, and I'm sure somewhere he's still yelling, "I do not consent." Sovereign citizens are ridiculous. It doesn't matter whether or not you consent to having a warrant. If you have a warrant, you're going to jail. End of discussion. In this next video, we have a Moorish sovereign citizen who talks himself into a 5-year prison sentence.
We'll next be on the record in Bonneville County case CR 2016-13677, State of Idaho versus Daryl Johnson. Mr. Johnson is present, along with counsel Mr. Daniel Taylor. State of Idaho is present, represented by Ms. North Shaw. We are here today for a scheduled sentencing.
Objection.
As Mr. Taylor, I will give you a chance to speak, sir. Mr. Taylor is...
He does not represent me in this matter.
Mr. Johnson, I really don't want to handle this in a contempt proceeding, sir, so let me just finish and state what we're here for. I will give you the chance to address the court at the proper time. Mr. Taylor has filed a motion to withdraw his counsel of record. That will be the first thing that we take up. He is currently listed as counsel of record. The court will address that. But as stated, we also are here for a scheduled sentencing in this matter. Mr. Taylor, you have filed a motion to withdraw his counsel of record. I take it from Mr. Johnson that he does no longer wish to have you represent him. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson?
For the record, I am Daryl Bea. I am Aboriginal, Indigenous, Allodial, Moorish American, and I reserve all my rights. All rights to me to be reserved and retained, without recourse, without prejudice. I am here only by special appearance to address the matter of status. I am a flesh and blood being, and I have an interest in this non-deger as it pertains to me, and you are not to do anything to it, or you violate the Constitution. You are not a judge, you are an acting judge. You are not qualified to hear a case at law as it pertains to my status as an all-natural blood being. So, as we proceed, I would like to...
Hold on, Mr. Johnson. It was a simple question. Do you wish Mr. Taylor to represent you?
As I said once again, the non-deger, it has an interest to me. It's an interest to me, but it's not me. I'm Daryl Bea, Aboriginal.
Mr. Johnson.
Moorish American.
Mr. Johnson, you have hired Mr. Taylor. He has entered a notice of appearance.
Can we produce a contract? Because I haven't signed any contract.
Mr. Johnson, do you wish Mr. Taylor to represent you?
No.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Taylor, you wish to address the court?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I was contacted by my client approximately a week ago, and he asked me to file a motion to withdraw. He kind of gave me a rundown on the things that he wanted to address with the court. I believe he filed some things with the court, and I received them back. I was informed the court would not be addressing those matters. Quite frankly, I don't think I can serve as counsel in the capacity that I ordinarily would at this stage in the proceedings, because I'm not even sure exactly what it is Mr. Bea wants me to argue. So
he just wants you to argue some sovereign citizen nonsense that doesn't mean anything.
I wouldn't go as far as to say a breakdown in the attorney-client privilege, but I'm being asked to argue things that are simply inconsistent with the law.
It's not a Supreme Court law.
I'm simply asking for permission to withdraw.
All right, Mr. Johnson, let me ask you some questions, sir, before we proceed concerning the representation of Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, you have the right to be represented by an attorney in this matter. You also have the right to represent yourself. The court has the obligation to make sure you understand those rights, and that any rights you waive are knowing and voluntary. Do you understand that?
I do not waive any of my inalienable rights as Moorish American at all. And the documents that were submitted to the court show no record that they show, and I have at the same time I have the receipt and docking numbers, U.S. postage mail numbers of receipt obtained by the, shall I say, the court clerk with signatures. So therefore, they're in notice of it. If you don't, I'll conserve you a copy of the paperwork that's needed.
Mr. Johnson, here's how this works. I will ask some questions. I'll give you the chance to argue whatever you want to argue at the appropriate time. This has to be done in a logical, methodical order.
It is logical, methodical order. The
question is, sir, you have the right to be represented by an attorney.
I don't need it.
You also have the right to be represented yourself.
Appropriate persona, proper person. Not
Mr. Johnson.
Be confused.
Mr. Johnson, I think there's only one person confused here, and it's you.
It's not me at all.
So
I have already alerted the International Criminal Courts and the United Nations of the fraudulent activities going on here today.
That's just fine. You're free to notify whoever you like, sir. I need to make sure that any waiver you make representing yourself is knowing and voluntary. So
I submitted a special appearance. It shows online that it was received in a repository. So the special appearance, which is here,
Mr. Johnson, I'm going to ask some very basic questions to make sure you understand what's going on. How old are you, sir?
Can we get to the matters of status and jurisdiction?
Mr. Johnson, here's how this works. I dictate the proper role of the court and the order in which things are taken up. Right now, I'm trying to decide if Mr. Taylor should continue to represent you.
He does, by law,
Mr. Johnson,
law, he can't represent me.
Mr. Johnson, Mr. Taylor has filed a notice of appearance in this court. He is currently the attorney of record listed, and I need to follow the proper procedure.
Well, the proper procedures were already met when I sent in the special appearance, notice of special appearance, that I'm Moorish American, and that I have my right, and I'm not a ward of the court, I'm not a corporation, and I'm not in pro se, and I have a constitutional right.
And how old are you, Mr. Johnson?
That doesn't proceed with the matters of status and jurisdiction.
Just answer the damn question. It's not that difficult.
Do you have any specific knowledge of the law or of court?
I have by the Supreme Court states laws.
Do you have any specific knowledge of the law or of court?
Canon law can supersede the Supreme Court. No lower court. So this for one, this is the Supreme Court states law. That's actual law, constitutional law. Foreign policies which you're trying to impose that I'm not willing to contract with. That the account of the nom de guerre that you're trying to affiliate me as, that I'm not. That I am Daryl Ray Bay, and I'm a Moorish Aboriginal, Moorish American.
Now, Mr. Johnson, you understand, sir, that you have the right to be represented by an attorney. Do you understand that?
Moorish cannot be represented by white people and their Negro slaves in the Christian courtroom, Nature's Law, Zodiac Constitution, Article 7. I, Daryl Ray Bay, never consented or asked, nor do I recognize the Colony Union State Attorney against Nature's Law and Moorish Zodiac Constitution. I am a Moorish American, and that is my right, by Supreme Court law of the constitutional law.
Anything else you'd like to say as to the representation of Mr. Taylor?
I'm a representation of myself.
So
I'm a proper person, not to be confused with pro se. And all I ask is that we continue.
You understand, Mr. Johnson, the court's going to hold you to the exact same standard as I would to an attorney as we go through the sentencing today.
It's not the same. How can we do anything when here you go. You would need a notice of special appearance because it was already sent in. It's documented.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anything, Ms. Shaw?
You can't. How can you override
Mr. Johnson?
Right? You're in violation of
Mr. Johnson,
right.
I don't want to hold you in contempt, but I would tell you we have a procedure here. The parties get a chance to speak, and I will hold you in contempt. I'm also anticipating ruling on this motion in just a minute. The state has the right to speak. You have spoken. Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, if Mr. Taylor believes that the attorney-client relationship has broken down between himself and Mr. Johnson, I can only rely on his representations. I'm not going to take a position on whether or not he should remain in the case. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Taylor, at this point, I'm going to allow you to withdraw as counsel of record in this case. If you provide appropriate order, but I will make it as effective as of right now. Okay?
May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Mr. Johnson, you have the right, sir, to have me appoint a public defender if you wish to have representation by counsel.
No, I represent myself in appropriate persona.
All right.
Did you need an affidavit of fact or writ of discovery?
Then, Mr. Johnson, the next thing we will take up is you have submitted some paperwork. You have not actually noticed that up for a hearing.
I have. I sent it in with the court's clerk.
The court, as I explained to you, sir, you're obligated to fulfill all of the proper roles as an attorney would. It's not been noticed up for hearing. The court deems it as a notice to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, so that can be raised at any point. So if you choose, you can notice it up for hearing following the proper procedure, but that is not up for hearing today. The court is scheduled for sentencing today. Let me ask, have you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report in this matter?
The only matters that I'm addressing here is status and jurisdictional matters, which can be attacked at any time, stated by the Supreme Court law. Here it is right here. Void orders can be attacked at any time. An order that exceeds the jurisdiction of the court is void or voidable and can be attacked in any proceeding in any court where the validity of the judgment comes into issue.
All right.
Rose versus Hemley, 1808, 4 Branch 241.
So, Mr. Johnson, do you wish to address the issue of jurisdiction at this point?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Status and jurisdiction.
I will hear the argument as to jurisdiction.
This should be good. I'm sure the sovereign citizen will make a coherent and good argument on jurisdiction.
Exactly. Okay. So now, do you want a copy of the special appearance? Do you need one, or do you have it there?
Oh, I've received the documentation.
Okay. Good. Okay. Then we can proceed with it. Now, it comes now.
But I've read it. You don't need to read it. I've read through the documentation. Go ahead. Any additional thing to add besides the paperwork?
Additional thing to add is, what is your name, nationality, and status?
The court does not answer questions. It asks questions, sir.
When jurisdiction is brought up, there's no lack in the northern jurisdiction. Jurisdiction must be decided. It cannot be counseled by anybody. Jurisdiction must be decided within it when it's brought up. And that's Supreme Court case law. And that's a violation of constitutional rights. So what you're saying is you're violating the constitutional right, which is Title 18 United States Code at law? Is that what we're saying? So we don't respect the Constitution, we don't respect the rights of the Moorish American people as what I am? Is that what we're saying? Because I've already alerted the international courts, I've already alerted the parties that needed to be, the provost, marshal, and I have documentation to prove things that's going on. So therefore, in the matter of status and jurisdiction, we need to come to a resolution on this. Status and jurisdiction has not been proven. So I'm asking you, what is your name, nationality, and status for the record?
Anything else to add to your argument, sir?
It's not an argument, it's a request, a Supreme Court request. That is supreme law stated by the Constitution, which if you don't have it, I have the Constitution right here that
you can argue whatever you like on your motion to dismiss, but that's, like I said, we're here for a motion. The court has deemed that paperwork a motion to dismiss for jurisdiction. But go ahead. Anything else to add?
This lack of jurisdiction, if it has no jurisdiction and no status, then is void of law on its face and merits, because it's an unconstitutional and unlawful court. And this is a fraudulent activity as well.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. If these sovereign citizens really think that the court has no jurisdiction, why do they even bother showing up to court? I'll tell you why. It's because deep down they know that their sovereign citizen nonsense is just that. Plain, utter nonsense.
This is fraudulent, human trafficking, and treason. The only thing that you are to traffic is goods. You are to only traffic goods. This is an administrative venue. This is not a court. You're not even a judge. And that is actual fact.
Anything
I'm
else?
Not a corporation. I'm a flesh and blood being. And I've stated my status for the record, and I'm asking for your status of the record so we can find out, do you have jurisdiction or not, and where did you get jurisdiction from? And I asked for delegation of authority order with a response within 10 days. Never did I get that. So if you don't have delegation of authority through the Congress of legislature, then how can you proceed in these proceedings? How can this be a lawful tribute?
Anything else, sir, to add?
I just want the answers that I'm asking for.
Well, like I've already explained, sir, the court is not in a position. I don't give answers. I ask questions and make decisions.
Well, once the status and jurisdiction is brought up, it cannot be ignored. That's Supreme Court law. So you're telling me that you're above Supreme Court?
What I'm asking, sir, is this is a motion to dismiss for jurisdiction. Anything more to add to your argument?
The motion needs to be dismissed. If you can't prove status and jurisdiction, then there's no status and there's no jurisdiction here. And you're operating under quasi. Let me look at my notes here. What is this? Acting as de facto quasi-jurisdiction, pretending to have jurisdiction over me as a free Allodial Moor American national. Now I'm a national. A national is the highest ranking citizen in the United States of America. And if you don't agree, then I have confirmation through Barack Obama, through the legislation, and other information that's deemed necessary as it pertains to the matters. So the matters that's pertaining to right now is status and jurisdiction. And I'm asking for status and jurisdiction. If you do not have it, or you're not trying to answer it, then this case must be dismissed.
Anything else?
You can provide the proper things as asked for, then this case is dismissed.
All right, Ms. Shaw, any response? Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
She doesn't have anything to say.
Mr. Johnson, I've given you a chance to speak. I will now allow the state to speak. You may take a seat, sir, or you can remain standing either way. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir, you can remain standing either way. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this point, I haven't received any of the filings of
Your office did. They were, the office has received them.
Okay. I just haven't seen them. And, Your Honor, at this point, I would indicate that a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Johnson has subjected himself to the jurisdiction of this court throughout these proceedings. I realize that his original preliminary hearing, he made some of the same arguments. We ended up going forward with a preliminary hearing eventually. He has appeared before this court multiple times. Mr. Johnson is charged with being in the state of Idaho, specifically in Bonneville County on November 23rd of 2016 and committing a crime. As this court is aware, this court has jurisdiction to hear criminal matters that occur within the state of Idaho. It's very clear. Idaho law gives you jurisdiction to hear those types of matters. Mr. Johnson, in his pre-sentence investigation, indicates that his place of birth is Norfolk, Virginia, making him a United States citizen. So his arguments about Moorish American and indigenous Aborigine have no bearing here in this courtroom today. Really, the only issue is, does this court have jurisdiction to hear a criminal case? Idaho law is very clear that you do. And since that's really the only basis he brings today, I would argue that the court should dismiss, or I'm sorry, deny the motion to dismiss at this time.
Objection.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Wait a second, Mr. Johnson. We're recording everything, so let me just make sure that you get a chance to respond, sir. Go ahead.
Now, at any time that a Moorish American national, which I have my stuff through Congress, my seals, which are with Congress, noted with the library, and I have the public states at large, United States of America, peace and friendship treaty with the United States of Morocco. So, therefore, I am the natural American citizen. This is a foreign venue, foreign court, unsanctioned, unconstitutional, non-common law foreign court. This court has no jurisdiction in any matter that pertains to me, my status of who I am, and you are not to dictate my status of who I am and my nationality as a Moorish Aboriginal. Violation of my constitutional right, deprivation of my constitutional right, which is Title 18, what is it, page, numbers 241, deprivation of my rights, my secured rights, unalienable rights. As a Moorish American outlaw, I am the only one that can practice law in my land. If you have anything to practice law, you need to produce a delegation of authority order that the Congress have allowed you to have. Other than that, this venue is a fraudulent venue, and it's only meant for trafficking goods. I am not goods. I am not part of a corporation. I am not an entity, and I'm not misrepresented for this misrepresented by fraudulent construct of all capitals is not me, and that is not who I am. And I have proof to verify that. That is here. I have supreme law to back it up, and I have loaded, like I said, I've alerted all the federal parties that need to be alerted behind these matters. As it says, Article 3, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, which this does not look like a Supreme Court to me at all, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish the judges. Both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive their services and compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and inequity. This is color of law. This is not no law under the Constitution at all. This is color of law, foreign policy, corporation policy, and I choose not to contract. I don't have to contract. You do not have a live, wet ink signature from me, not unless you have a red ink signature from me and a thumbprint, that is not no signature. And I have never gave you one, nor consented to this activity, and I am denying it now for the record to be placed upon the record. And my nationality is secured, and my rights are inalienable of the Constitution, which the Constitution pertains to us all. So we all have a right and an obligation under the Constitution. So that fact and that right is that, can you prove the status of jurisdiction? Can that be proven? No, it cannot. At all. She doesn't have judicial power at all. Only under corporation. That's that flyer, which is canon law. It's not common law, it's canon law. So all I'm asking here today, when I filed special appearance, notices were sent out, I got receipts dating everything, and all I'm asking for here is for status. Find out if you have status or not, under the constitutional right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. The court finds in this matter has indicated that Mr. Johnson's files had an objection or a motion to dismiss based upon lack of jurisdiction. The court will refer to the record in this case, Mr. Johnson, on
and two, it must be accountable.
Mr. Johnson, I spoke. I let you speak. All you wanted to say, I get the chance to speak at this point.
It must be accountable with my peers. That's all I want to say. I don't see any nationals in here.
The court on March 1st had a hearing with Mr. Darrell Johnson. They gave him time on that.
That is not me once again.
There was a plea agreement submitted to this court by Mr. Johnson and his counsel. At that point, the court discussed the plea agreement with Mr. Johnson. The court reviewed the file. The defendant, Mr. Johnson, was placed under oath by the clerk. Mr. Johnson, at that time, was asked a number of questions concerning the circumstances of the crime. Mr. Johnson indicated under oath what his name was, indicated that he had been located in Bonneville County on or about November 23rd. He did knowingly possess marijuana.
So I would like to
so at that point, based upon Mr. Johnson's own admissions, based upon the representations that he himself gave, the court denies the motion to dismiss, and we are prepared to proceed to sentencing.
How can you deny a motion when it's my nationality is right here?
What does nationality have to do with anything? The judge just ruled against your motion. If you don't like his ruling, you can always appeal to a higher court. Although that may be a problem for you, because you probably don't believe in those higher courts anyway.
Mr. Johnson, I've denied the motion already. We will now proceed. Are you ready to proceed to sentencing?
Unconstitutional.
Are you ready to proceed to sentencing?
I'm proceeding with anything. I'm not signing with anything, and I'm going to alert my counsel.
All right. We will, at this point, proceed to sentencing. That's what's scheduled for today.
How can you proceed and you can't even...
Mr. Johnson, let me review the... Mr. Johnson.
You can't even establish jurisdiction, status and jurisdiction.
Mr. Johnson.
Regardless of the fact.
I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't allow me to speak. You will be taken into custody. We will then schedule this for a sentencing date tomorrow, if that's what you choose to do, or we can proceed today. What would you like to do?
I'm just asking for my constitutional
The court's already ruled on your motion to dismiss. It was denied. What would now, Mr. Johnson, do you wish to be taken into custody today?
Wow.
Or would you like to proceed to sentencing?
Wow. I'm not agreeing to anything of sentencing for. My name is not Johnson. My name is Darrell Ray Bay, Moorish Aboriginal Indigenous, which I have my rights and I have my nationality on record. But
Mr. Johnson, let me review this. At the time of your arraignment on January 3rd, 2017, you were informed that information had been filed against you by the state of Idaho, charging you with the crime of trafficking in marijuana. You pled not guilty on that date. However, on March 1st, I believe, I already indicated. March 1st, 2017, you again appeared in court with your attorney and pursuant to a plea agreement through your previous plea of not guilty, and entered a plea of guilty as charged, or excuse me, to the amended charge. Let me check that. The amended charge of possession of a controlled substance, marijuana, in excess of 3 ounces. That was done pursuant to a plea agreement. The plea agreement was the state would recommend probation at the time of sentencing, but was free to argue the terms of the underlying sentence. although the state would not request any additional upfront jail. You agreed to pay the cost of investigation, prosecution, and lab testing. All other conditions not expressly agreed upon in this written plea agreement, the parties were free to argue, and this agreement was not binding upon the court. After the court accepted your guilty plea, and after you indicated that you were in fact Mr. Johnson and that you had in fact committed this crime, the court found at that point that you had made a knowing and voluntary waiver of any rights at that point of your right to a trial, and that you had pled guilty in this case. The court ordered a pre-sentence investigation report be prepared. I have received a copy of that report. Mr. Johnson, have you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report?
So we're just going to act like the Constitution and my rights do not exist. That my nationality for my declaration, my name, I have no name.
Mr. Johnson, have you received a copy of the pre-sentence investigation report?
I'm Daryl Ray Bea. I have the identification to prove who I am.
Okay. I'm going to assume that you said that since you're not objecting to that, we will proceed.
So you're going to proceed.
Are there any parts of the report that you need to be clarified or corrected, Mr. Johnson?
So you're going to override my constitutional rights?
Mr. Johnson, I've already ruled on your motion. Is there anything you wish to add to the pre-sentence investigation report?
The only thing that I'm going to add is that this is unlawful, this is unconstitutional, and I came in here on special appearance, not a general appearance. Everything was filed correctly with the ex-relation to Daryl Ray Johnson. Daryl Ray Bea, ex-relation to Daryl Ray Johnson. So I do have an interest in the account of Daryl Ray Johnson.
Do you wish to stand by the plea of guilty that you previously entered in this case?
I'm not entering no plea of anything because I choose not to do anything. I choose not to do anything.
Mr. Johnson, we've already discussed you have already entered a plea of guilty in this case. The court already found that.
Go back to something that is up now and to current day, especially off a special appearance form, because I'm not Daryl Johnson.
Are there going to be any witnesses for the defendant?
I'm Daryl Ray Bea.
You're going to have any witnesses?
I am the witness of this account, and I'm holding this account.
Is the state going to have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor,
this is not to be.
Mr. Johnson, the court reporter is taking down everything that's said. We need to all take our turn speaking, sir.
Do you want
anything any witnesses for the state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right.
This is unconstitutional.
Then, Mr. Johnson, before I impose sentence in this matter, I'll give you the chance to address the court. Anything you would like to say as to your sentencing?
Like I said, so all rights are reserved. As you can see, with a file on the paperwork, Daryl Ray Bea, authorized representative, natural person, appropriate persona, ex-relation, Daryl Ray Johnson, all rights reserved. UCC 1-207/1-308, UCC 1-103, not a corporate person or entity misrepresented by fraudulent construct of all capital letters. I came here to clear up a matter and handle it as constitutionally as it's supposed to be handled. Now I find out that you're going to violate my rights. You're threatening to incarcerate me, or the natural term would be kidnap me, human traffic me, and violate the constitutional law, which you feel you're above the Constitution. You feel you're above the Supreme Court. You feel that my proper filings of paperwork does not stand as law when they do, because if it didn't, then these paperwork would not have been signed by president officials and people in higher ranking than such as yourself. A lower court does not have judicial power to hear certain things when it pertains to my status and my nationality for who I am. Now that's a violation of my constitutional rights that you are in violation of. And if you don't understand it, here's a declaration and a proclamation that is with Obama, that came from Obama, that went to the presidency, that is notice of my Moorish American nationality through my nationality of my nation. So there's no counsel of my peers here. There's none of my nationals here. This is not a courtroom. This is an unlawful venue. This is an administration. There's no counsel of my peers here. There's none of my nationals here. This is not a courtroom. This is an unlawful venue. This is an administrative venue only meant for commerce. I'm not commercing. I'm not contracted with the state of Idaho or anything of any sort.
Why is the judge just allowing him to ramble on and on? Honestly, he should have been held in contempt of court a couple of minutes ago.
I've sent in the proper paperwork and the proceedings that needed to be. So anything that, this is all that we need to discuss right here. Status and Peace and Friendship Treaty of the United States with Morocco, which it pertains to me because I am an Aboriginal indigenous person of the land, and I have documentation to prove it.
Is there anything else you'd like to add as to your sentencing, sir?
I guess if you're going to violate the Constitution and my rights, I guess so. Well, I would not be signing anything. I would not be doing anything of the sort. And like I said, stated for the record, I came here to clear up the matter and establish status and jurisdiction, which you have not proven. And I filed for notice of dismissal, which you have denied unconstitutionally of my rights, of my constitutional rights, which I don't understand and don't see why or it should be, because this ain't no Supreme Court in general. So rulings can only be made by a Supreme Court.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anything? Can I have the state's recommendations as to sentencing, Ms. Shaw?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Pursuant to the plea agreement, I'm making the following recommendation. I am recommending that the court impose an underlying sentence of 2 years determinate, followed by 3 years indeterminate, for a total of 5 years. I am not requesting any additional upfront jail time at this time for Mr. Johnson to serve. He served a substantial amount of time.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He served a substantial amount of time prior to entering a guilty plea in this case having begun back in November of 2016, and Mr. Johnson was released after we entered a change of plea in March of 2017. So I'm not asking for any additional upfront jail time at this point. I would ask that the court suspend the underlying sentence, place the defendant on probation for a period of 4 years. He will need to apply for interstate compact. I understand he lives in the state of Montana, and provided he complies with probation and the interstate compact, he will should be able to be supervised in that state. I do have a restitution motion for $431.31 for costs of prosecution incurred in this case, and we would ask the court to enter an order to that effect. We have received no objection to the matter, to the motion at this point, and I'm not aware of any issues there. And that's all I really have to add for sentencing. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Johnson, before I impose sentence in this matter, I'll give you the chance once again to address the court. This is known as your right of allocution. You're not required to say anything, but I would give you that chance if you wish to address the court.
All I'm here is to handle my constitutional right and see that my constitutional rights are reserved, for they are not inalienable at all, and they are secured by the Constitution, American Constitution, the Peace and Friendship Treaty. That's what I came here for, to do.
And Mr. Johnson, let me just reiterate, are you sure you want to proceed without an attorney? I can have one appointed.
I'm an appropriate persona, a natural person, flesh and blood being. I'm not a corporate person, I'm not a corporate entity, none of that. It's fraudulent, fraudulent in all capitals, that is not me, that is not who I am.
Mr. Johnson, your attorney that you had retained indicated that he didn't think that this argument had any basis in law. The court has already ruled against you. Is there anything else that you would like to say? I certainly think you need to have an attorney and have one represent you. Is there any way I can talk you into having an attorney represent you?
I highly doubt it, because sovereign citizens think they know everything about the law, when in reality, they know nothing about the law.
For one, I read already that... Let me just go back into this.
No, Mr. Johnson, you've already read it. If you already read it, the court understands. I just want to make sure you understand that you have the right to an attorney, and I think you need one.
Moors cannot be represented by white people and their Negro slaves in the Christian courtroom. Nature's law, Zodiac Constitution, Article 7. I am a Moorish Aboriginal, and I have documented proof to prove who I am.
Okay. All right, we've gone over that. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure.
This is crazy. Wow.
Based upon, Mr. Johnson, your plea of guilty, it is the judgment of this court that you are guilty of the crime of possession of marijuana greater than 3 ounces. I've gone back and reviewed the pre-sentence investigation report. I've listened to your statements. The plea agreement in this case is a recommendation of probation. The court has the obligation, as the objectives of criminal sentencing adopted by the Idaho Supreme Court, those are protecting society, deterring you and others from committing this type of crime, the possibility of rehabilitation, and punishment or retribution for wrongdoing. The court also has the criteria, I have to review the criteria set forth in Alcode 1925-21 relative to the question of whether I should place you on probation or confine you to prison. One of the things the court has to ask is that if I think you can be successful on probation, if you can follow the rules of probation, if you can follow the guidelines that this court has. The court, in making these considerations, I want to refer to the pre-sentence investigation report that was prepared in this case. That's located on page 8 of the pre-sentence investigation report under the prior record comments. It indicates this appears to be Mr. Johnson's third felony conviction as an adult and his first felony conviction in Idaho. He has a criminal history dating back to his youth, spanning throughout California, Nevada, and Idaho. He received his first felony as an adult for a burglary conviction out of California in 2004. It indicates he was sentenced to 3 years of probation and said that although he was violated for absconding, he completed probation successfully. Mr. Johnson then reported he was on felony probation out of Nevada from 2010 until 2012. According to the NCIC reports, there isn't a disposition list for that case, and this information cannot be confirmed. It is worth mentioning that he has a prior felony charge out of California that was later dismissed. He was also convicted of a misdemeanor sex crime in 2003, and it indicates here you're required to register as a sex offender. Reviewing of your of this case, you indicate you had a fairly good childhood growing up. You were born in Virginia. Your family relocated to California approximately a year later. Your father was in the military. Your mother was a nurse. Your parents did get divorced. I want to congratulate you, sir. And it says you did later obtain your GED, even though you had trouble as a teenager and ultimately dropped out of school. So I think that's good that you've obtained your GED, that you have, that you were able to accomplish that. It also indicates you have positive relationships with your parents. They are supportive, and as he works to get his life back on track. Further review of the pre-sentence investigation report. Indicates in this case that you report being successfully discharged from probation. It indicates, Mr. Johnson, that you admitted to smoking marijuana on a daily basis prior to this arrest. You don't feel that you have any substance abuse issues at this time. You indicate you've never participated in a treatment program. You don't feel you need it. Then they recommend the term of probation. So in making my final rulings on the court, Mr. Johnson, let me ask, do you wish to be placed on probation?
And I just asked for, so we're not going to do none of that, so you're just going to disregard my nationality and my identification card says who I am.
All right, I'm going to take that you will not comply since you are failing to comply with the orders and requests of this court. The court's going to find that based upon the criteria set forth in Code 1925-21, the court finds that you will not and would not likely be successful on probation. So the court in this time is going to be the judgment of this court that you be sentenced to the custody of the Idaho Department of Corrections as follows. For a minimum term of 1 year, followed by an indeterminate term of 4 years, for a total of 5 years. I'm going to order, I don't know if you have any other sentences, I will order those things run concurrent with each other.
So my nationality.
There'll be a fine in this case of $1,000, standard court cost payments into the Victims Relief Fund.
So my nationality doesn't mean a thing. So coming here to put it on record, giving it to you without no malicious intent, just doing my
Mr. Johnson, you've already argued the motion to dismiss. The court's denied it. If you wish, you can appeal it to a higher court. That's certainly your right.
So you're going to...
You're advised, in fact, that you have the right to appeal the Idaho Supreme Court from this judgment conviction. You have a right to be represented by an attorney in that appeal. If you cannot afford an attorney, the attorney will be appointed for you at public expense. However, you only have 42 days from today's date to file that appeal. You also may have rights under the Idaho Criminal Rule 35. This gives you 120 days to seek a correction or reduction of the sentence if you feel it was illegal or unduly harsh. You also may have rights under the Idaho Uniform Post-Conviction Relief Act.
The audio gets a bit choppy at the end, so I'm going to end the video here. Today we learned 2 things. 1, never try this foolish sovereign citizen nonsense in court. And 2, always have a lawyer with you in court. It's like the saying goes, he who represents himself in court has a fool for a client. Our final video in this marathon today is my most viewed sovereign citizen video ever. The dumbest sovereign citizens that I've ever seen.
Listen, the conversation being recorded, okay?
Yes, it is being recorded.
Great. The reason I'm stopping you is not aware, but your license is suspended.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have your driver's license? Proof of insurance on you?
I'm not in commerce, so I therefore don't need a driver's license.
You're not in what?
Commerce.
Okay. Well, you're on a public roadway within the state of Oregon. Okay, you need a driver's license.
Yeah.
Can you show me the law?
The law for no valid operator's license? I believe it's 806-012. Or I can check that out. It might be 806-010, but I can check that for you.
Can you show me the law?
Driving while spent is A11-175. But I need to see your license registration.
Do you understand that here in Oregon and everywhere else, if you're not in commerce, you're not required to have a driver's license? It's also under ORS.
The Department of Motor Vehicles only issues commercial driver's license.
I don't have that on us. It's titling, optional, titling,
okay, I'm not gonna
registration, and driver's license.
I'm asking you for your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. Are you going to present that to me or not?
I can't do that.
You're not going to present that to me.
That would be fraud.
I can't do that.
That would be...
they only offer commercial driver's licenses, and I'm not in a commercial capacity.
You should actually look up the Motor Vehicle Act.
Make it clear one more time. You're not willing to present me with a driver's license.
Right.
Okay. I'll be right back. I'm free to go.
I'm being detained. On what grounds am I being detained?
On my grounds.
On your grounds I'm being detained? What grounds am I being detained?
Some citations. You're not free to go.
But on what grounds am I being detained?
So he's refusing. He's writing my wife Laura a citation for failure to carry an operator's license. Knowing full well that this is a crime he's committing, we just informed him that she is not in commerce, therefore she does not need a driver's license, registration, or insurance.
You serious?
But he's continuing to harass, like these city police have been. This is a violation of Title 18, 241, and 242.
Babe, stop with the titles. We don't give a fuck about titles. But we know. They don't pertain to us. It's just a violation of our unalienable rights.
Exactly.
Those titles and stuff, they don't pertain to us. It only pertains to if another public body wants to go after this public body.
But they're violating their code. That's what it is. And they're doing it against our rights, which is what is 241 and 242 of Title 18. Conspiracy to... it's conspiracy against the rights and defrauding your rights.
I feel like we should just go.
If you want to, you can. He might chase us and draw a gun on us. Do you mind if I told him?
To hurry up?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem that I have is kind of like the way that you talk is not... It just seems kind of really intense, which it kind of is on both parts, me and you. But we're just so tired of it.
Well, I just want him to understand. And coming from me, he can't take it against you. 8 minutes so far we've been sitting here.
for him to write a citation, a contract.
Mr. Pitcher! Can we hurry this along, please? I have to go!
A few minutes later.
Okay, hold on, baby.
I should take that and step out and be like, excuse me, but...
No, don't leave your vessel.
Here he comes. He's walking up with his hand on his gun.
Why?
Okay, Ms. Weaver. Green issue citation for driving while suspended in violation, driving uninsured, failure to carry the vehicle registration. Your court date is 9/23/2013 at 8:30 a.m. at 225 West All Street in Newport, Oregon, Lincoln County Courthouse. Okay? These are all violations. They're not mandatory appearances. You appear by mail at the address right there, or there's 4 officers in the back to the way and take care of it. Okay? Any questions about your citation?
No questions. Do you have a business card?
Jeremy, don't do that.
What's that?
Do you have a business card?
I'm sure I do. Would you like one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you carry any bond?
Do you?
I've had this discussion with you numerous times. I don't know what you mean by bonds. I don't know any of that.
Well, you have to have bond or limited liability insurance.
Statute laws, okay. So there's that. I'm not going to tow your vehicle, but you're not okay to drive away from here. Okay. If you drive away from here, you're going to be subject to more citations in the vehicle tow.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't say anything. Just.
Okay, so you got to get somebody with a license down here to drive. Okay? There's that for you. Are you going to take it?
Nope.
Neither of them can't drive because neither of them have a license, and the car is uninsured. But what do you think they're gonna do anyways?
So he's telling us we cannot drive.
We're not driving, we're traveling.
Exactly.
Mom, why are we staying at the car?
And he's gonna wait for us to go to travel, and he's probably gonna pull us over again. And of course he's probably got backup somewhere. Do you want me to drive?
No. Should I just make a dash home and get in the Durango?
Sure. Or just, if they try to tow our vehicle with our kids in the truck, in the rain with no sweaters.
Do you want to do it?
I'll do it.
If you think about it, they're basically discussing which one of them is going to get arrested. And I feel bad for the children in that car. Out of everyone in that car, the smartest people are the children.
You promise that you won't put the car in park or anything like that?
Like, what do you mean in park?
What did he say? Should I stop this?
No, keep that recording the whole time as long as it'll record.
Yes, please record your crimes so those recordings can be used against you in court.
What did he say about if we need somebody with a license?
Yeah, to come down here and drive it.
I should be the one that just goes.
What? Oh, I'm so sorry.
The fuck? I don't have any brakes on or anything.
It just seems like it won't. Okay. Yeah, he's waiting right down there. But I'm just gonna go home, okay?
Which way you want to go?
Straight. He's right there. He's gonna pull out anyways. So at least if I get home, if they try to arrest me, then
Just put it somewhere safe.
Kids in there. You understand they're probably gonna try to arrest me?
Don't sign anything.
They know exactly what's about to happen, but decide to drive home anyways. People really can't be this stupid.
Sorry, Bobby.
Notice how he hasn't pulled over yet? That's probably going to be an additional charge.
When we get out, keep the keys in. I'll lock the door.
Okay.
What do you want? This?
Yeah.
Tell him your son had to poop.
Hey, ma'am, my son has to take a crap. Okay.
Put your hands behind your back. Everyone, put your hands
Are
behind
you,
your back.
are you detaining me?
Yes,
Do you
I am.
understand this is a deprivation of my
Put your hands
rights?
behind your back.
And do you also understand
Turn around and put your hands behind your back.
the no trespassing sign right there,
You don't
164265?
understand.
Will you give her my wallet and stuff? You have a serious deprivation of rights problem, man. You're violating Title 18, 241, and 242.
Our son had to poop. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, the right to me sign
It was raining. My kids are in the car. It's my son's birthday
we'll be
picture.
holding in suit
Hey,
for law.
hey, you will take the
I
stuff out of my. You will take my stuff
Picture.
out and give it to my
I
wife.
will, on my terms.
Hey, dude.
Yes,
Picture. Our son had to poop. This is inhumane.
This is inhumane, man. What do you? How do you think this is even like justified, man? You think this is justified, man?
Only point of direction entry request, man. You understand your rights? Right now you're being detained, okay?
I don't stand under.
Northwest A and about industrial.
My 4-year-old son has to take a crap. It is his birthday today. You had to sit
Why
there
are you
for 10
doing
minutes.
Ma'am, I suggest if your son needs to use the bathroom, you go ahead and let him use the bathroom.
But why are you doing this?
Ma'am, if your son needs to use the bathroom,
You're
go ahead and let him use the
taking his father on his birthday.
That's 100% your fault. The officer told you back at the bank that you couldn't drive. But you decided to anyway, and now you're gonna learn that actions have consequences.
Why are you doing this, Pitcher?
Yep. They don't actually fit right at all because it's inhumane, man. Okay.
I'm gonna put this right here.
Okay.
And I am gonna.
Oh, how about you put that on your car? I don't want to my car.
That's not your car. That's taxpayers' money.
Well, you get paid by the taxpayers, dude. You get paid by the city, which is paid by the taxpayers. You're a private contractor, man. And you understand you're supposed to be carrying a bond. You're supposed to be bonded and insured. You don't stand under much. Honey, my money's in here too. She needs my money real quick. It's in my left back pocket. Everything in my pocket she needs. Yeah, it's my wallet, of course. Everything in my pocket needs to go to her. You really?
I don't want you guys to.
You're gonna get my
your money.
My money what? No.
I'm gonna count it right here.
She has a video camera. You don't need to count it. You could just hand it to her.
My camera's right here.
And mine's right there.
20, 30.
Are you serious,
31,
man?
$32 right there.
You know this is slander as well. Public humiliation.
5, 10,
unlawful search and
11,
seizure,
12,
unjustified,
13,
man.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, $21.
Oh, my son's birthday, dude.
Why didn't you stop?
Dude,
You know why.
we have the right to travel.
$3.
Under commerce, you need the
said
driver's
don't drive.
license,
We're not driving, we're
registration, and
traveling.
insurance. We're traveling.
35.
Well, now you're gonna be traveling to jail.
Under our natural right.
I cut you guys a break. I didn't tow your vehicle. This is what you did.
Are you
Our
serious,
son had
dude?
to poop.
Do you have kids, man? See, that's why you don't understand, dude.
This isn't all of the money, is it? Where's the
No,
rest of the money?
everything in my pockets, dude, I said. Everything.
Let's go back to the camera here.
Oh my fucking god.
Right here. Let's walk in.
Hold on, baby.
Let's walk her.
My son needs to... Alright.
Here, there's that back for you. 5, 10, 30, 50, 70, 90, 110, 130, 150, 170, 190, 210, 230, 250, 270, 290, 310, 330, 350, 370, 390, 410, 430.
Notice the principals, notice the agent. Remember to ask for the bond and discharge it. Accept it for value. Excuse me, can I just tell you that he told us not to drive from the bank. We're not driving, we're traveling, and our 4-year-old, it's his birthday today, had to poop.
Okay, well that's not an emergency then.
He knows this.
Okay, well he made his decision, so...
If there's one thing we learned from this video, it's that stupid people shouldn't have kids. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this was from 2013, so I hope they're doing better now. These parents are pathetic human beings. Chris Walker, the sovereign citizen who got arrested in that video, is currently in prison for vehicular manslaughter. Today we watched a lot of sovereign citizens who got arrested because they thought they knew the law, but they didn't. It's like the saying goes, I fought the law and the law won. I want to thank everybody for watching this marathon, and as always I want to give a huge shout out to all of my channel members for your support. All of you are awesome. I look forward to what the next year will bring, and I hope to continue doing this for many years to come. That's going to do it for this marathon. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.